What up? How's it going, everybody? Good to see you on this lovely Sunday evening. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and spending a little time with us. As I wait for stragglers who are always a little bit late to come in, let me take this moment to do a few of my usual announcement type thingies. I was hoping that there would be an announcement, an update on Zyla Parsons' battle with cancer. I unfortunately do not have one. It's been about 2.5 weeks since the last update. I was really hoping that there would have been something about her, and I just hope she's doing. I just hope she's doing and feeling a lot better. I check week to week and always anxious to see and hope to get some more news. So it's kind of stressful for me to go 2.5 weeks and not hear anything. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, please check this out. I'm just putting it's a GoFundMe link. Dan Parsons is a comic book artist, and his 18-year-old daughter, as I said, has cancer and is going through chemo treatments. Last I heard, middle of the 3rd round, and had a PET scan at that time that showed the tumor had shrunk by 40%. So it was 60% of the size they originally found it at, which is fantastic news. But unfortunately, I have no other news aside from that to give you. So, but yeah, read about it on that GoFundMe page if you want. And if you want to throw a few bucks their way to help pay for the chemo treatments, that would be awesome too. And let me see what else. Is there anything else? This is it. So now it's been officially a week, everybody, since our last episode. Obviously, this is a weekly show. So I wanted to say thank you to all of you who tuned in last week and watched the show and tell with Karen P. As I told her after the show, I really screwed that episode up with the timing and everything. I wish I could get it back, but of course, with live content, there are no do-overs. But I felt like I left Karen hanging a little bit too long, oftentimes, as I chatted with all of you guys towards the beginning. And I mean, obviously, we all could see that she was a bit nervous, and I really need to do a better job going back and forth between the transitions. Anyways, whatever. It's all a learning process. I'm jumping into the chat now and seeing the latest post. Mike, there is no post. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It's live. It stays there, and that's how it is. So it is what it is, you know. But I did want to thank everybody again. Thank you for tuning into that. As pissed as I am at myself for doing a shitty job with the production aspect of it, I still had a really great time, as I always do. And Karen says that she also had a really great time as well. And I do believe her when she says that. So thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. And for anybody who missed it, it was a lot of fun. Here you go. Here we go again. I just popped in the link to, not to our show that we did last week, but that's her latest video on her channel. So if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out, because unlike some videos that keep being put in front of me by YouTube, I don't know about you guys, you know, here's another quick little anecdote, but I keep getting, YouTube seems to think that I'm the perfect viewer for videos of like hot chicks they play guitar and they get like one boob flopping over the guitar, and they're pretending that the video is all about them guitar playing. They make no mention about their looks or whatever, but it's clearly all about the boob flopped over the guitar. Anyways, the point being, I don't know why they want me to see that crap. Not interested. I want you to know that beyond the looks, Karen is not there for the looks. She's there to talk about, passionately, I may say, comic books and comic art. And as you guys all know, it's not many women doing that, especially online. So that's why I really, I'm trying to push her channel, because she doesn't only talk with passion, but she knows her shit. That's what's awesome. In spite of only being in the hobby for about 11-ish years or so, and never having been exposed to comics previous to that. So she got into this in her 30s, knowing nothing, and is like on fire now with this brand new channel. So please check it out if you haven't already. That's all I'm going to say. Really appreciate to all of you, my friends who have checked it out and have subscribed. So yeah, please subscribe. Check it out. If you love it, subscribe it. I can't imagine how you wouldn't appreciate the content though. So thank you very much for that. And let me just make sure I have nothing else before I bring in Steve. And nothing there. Okay, I'm going to bring in Steve, and then we'll say hello to those of you who are already in the room. Yeah, why don't we do that? All right, this guy needs no introduction for most of you, but we'll talk rather than introduce him with some long drawn out nonsensical thing of all the things he's done in the hobby. Let's just bring him in, and yeah, we'll talk all about it together. Let's do that. Why don't we? There you go. Hey, what's up,
Steve? How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing this, first of all.
Well, no, I appreciate you having me on. You know, there's nothing I love better than talking about comics and art and our hobby and the history and all of that. And I know
that.
Yeah. Oh, West Stephan is watching.
Yeah. Listen, exactly. See, there you go.
Oh, that's awesome. Exactly. I love it. He's the best.
See, in last week's episode, he jumped after the show. He jumped into the chat just to let us know that, in the chat. I guess he jumped into this video last week and in the comment section just to let us know he's looking forward to roasting you this week.
Well, he does every day. We're best friends. You know, we started CBCS together, but he worked for me at CGC. We were friends way before that. And he's been a true collector all his life. He's one of the most wonderful people in the world.
Super nice.
He probably knows more than me about comic books. I'm not kidding. He's a force of nature.
I believe you. If you say it, I believe you. And I've actually already several months ago. I mean, I asked Wes to come on and hang out with me at some point. He said, yeah, it's just that he's really busy. He couldn't do it over the next few months, whatever. But I'm hoping to still catch him at a time where he might not be that busy and have him on as well. So that'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he'll be more fascinating than me for sure. I mean, you should have him instead of me. All right. He is just
I wouldn't go that far.
Knowledge and a great hobbyist, and he's just a wonder. I mean, look, he's my brother. You know, I can't say enough about him.
I totally get it, man. I totally get it.
Now I can't roast him, he said. Yeah, yes you can.
Yes you can. Yes, you can. 109 in Vegas. I know a lot of people have been telling me they currently are at 107, 109. Like in different parts of the country, so I don't know where you all are, but yeah, man, it's getting on. Look, I'm up here up north, and we're in the high 80s and about to go into the lower 90s, I think, maybe mid 90s, and that's in Montreal, Canada. So yeah, I can imagine how rough it is everywhere. Hey, Tariq, what's up, brother? And hi, Karen. Speak of the devil. Hi, Karen. Hey, everybody. Good day to you all the way from Singapore. Mark, as always, appreciate you.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, Steve. We have a very international audience. Yes, we got Singapore. I mean, we got Australia. We'll see if David in Australia comes in. But yeah, thanks, Rick. I appreciate it. Well, I really hope she's doing well too.
I heard the beginning.
Yeah.
Look. You know, the more we can do for the people in our hobby and the people we love, the better off we are.
Yeah, absolutely. JC, what up? Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Thanks, West. Thank you so much for checking it out and for leaving the comments afterwards. Really appreciate that, and I know Karen does too. So, Speaking of the devil again, she had so much fun. You see, I wasn't lying.
No, that's great. This is fun.
So that's it. So there you go. She'll have a. Oh, I'm sure she's very busy. She's a very busy mom. But yes, Jeff, she will come back for another visit at some point whenever she can make the time. And yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Carl, there's another one from Hawaii, American, but Hawaii. So off the mainland, love that. Always a pleasure to see you, Carl. And everyone knows your name. What? That's my husband's feed too. I missed that. I don't know what you're talking about. You'll have to tell me later. Hard to hit those high notes. Oh, I see. You're talking about those videos I was talking about. Right. The boobs over the guitar thing. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they thought I was the prime candidate for that. But let's see. That's why. See, I'm getting all the guitar comments. I see. There we go. Derek prefers boobs with cellos. Nice. Of course. Hey, Maki Poopu, good to see you, sir. Hello, Steve from
Thank you, Reggie. How you doing?
And howdy, Steve from the Rickster. And from Karen. Oh, and from my wife, Vivian. There you go.
Oh, well, hello.
Dwayne Zapain, as always, good to see you. And aloha, of course, from Carl. Hey, Murdoch. Murdoch might be in Guantanamo. He's usually in Guantanamo. Are you there, Murdoch? What's up? Let us know. It'll be Steve's turn to roast then. Yes, that's right. Yes, we'll have to make sure I let Steve know when West is on my show as a guest, so they could do it to each other.
Yeah, I'll tell you all these stories about him as a kid.
Why not? Hey, Gabe, 83 there. Hey, that's not too bad. More palatable. It was a great show last week. Karen did fantastic. Well, she did. Thank you, Comic Gar Boston. I appreciate it. Thank you. The global magnet. Apparently, I love it. I love it. I mean, our hobby is a global hobby, right? So all the better, to see a small channel like mine actually be that international. Like, it's pretty impressive. Like, it makes me so happy, So the Guitar Center, thank you. And so I'm very happy. So, okay, everybody, let's get into this. Just to let you know in advance, this is happening more and more frequently to me lately. So it happened with John Wynn a few weeks back. It continued with Karen last week, and it continues this week again with Steve. I have a maximum tight deadline of 2 hours total. So he's got to be gone by 10 at the latest. So we're going to get right into this. Thankfully, as you guys know, the show and tell episodes make these things go way longer because we do so much talking. Thankfully, this time we've only got less than a handful of pieces to show, so it'll be mostly shooting the shit with Steve, and you guys feel free to ask him questions. But yeah, if you're cool with it, I'd like to sort of start it off a little bit. If you could maybe tell us a little bit, because I know, like, even people who know you or know of you, right? They don't know like a lot of sort of in detail. And so I was hoping maybe, everybody primarily knows you as, the CGC guy, and then all the things that came after, But if maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got started, say, wheeling and dealing, because people also know that you pre-CGC, you were dealing comics. How you got started dealing, because I think it's probably a bit of a fascinating story, because I do know a little bit about it, meaning that I know that you started really young taking tables at cons, right?
It wasn't even a con. It was called a marketplace. No? Phil Seuling had a marketplace on Sunday every month. And I was 12 years old, and I had all these comics. And my dad had a printing place in New York City. And Sundays, he can go in and work by himself without people bothering him. And so I told him about this convention. I showed him what it was, the Phil Seuling Marketplace. And he said, sure, but it seems like a lot of money for a table. I think it was $25. And I said, yeah, but my friend Ricky Feldman, who collects DC, I collect Marvel, who's going to split it with me. It's $12.50. And he said, okay, I'll drive you guys in. I'll drop you off and I'll pick you up. And I was just selling comic books that I didn't want to buy. Well, the first time was I wanted to buy a Tales of Suspense 57. I loved Hawkeye. There was no reprints. Right. There was no movies. So it wasn't like I liked Hawkeye because he was a cool Avenger, you know.
Right.
He was a cool anti-hero, you know. It was fantastic. And but all these
Steve, sorry I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt. Just because mostly for me, I don't know if anybody else cares. When it comes to storytelling, I love understanding the timeline. Could you give us what year that might have started?
Well, I was 12 and I'm 60. So 48 years ago.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm so old now. I just got a T-shirt that says, because I'm in comics, it's weird being the same age as old people.
Nice.
I still feel like a kid. It's wonderful.
That's important. Exactly.
Yeah. But so anyway, I did those, but the so-called experts, they were telling me to buy faucets and Westerns and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, no, I'm here to buy a comic book I love. You know, I mean, back then it was called the Near Mint or something. It was probably like a VF minus by today's standards. I didn't care. I wanted to read it. Right. There was no reprints of that. And like I said, all these guys were telling me to buy faucets and Westerns. I would have lost my shirt if I didn't follow my passion. I always tell people to buy what they love and they can afford. That's all, you know. And so I did that on and off for years. I kind of had a well-spent, misspent teenage years. I was following the Grateful Dead around the country and selling comic books.
What? Okay, hold on. I gotta stop you there for sure because. All right, everybody. So you know a little bit of the art that we'll show later, maybe even soon while he's talking. I don't know. It's up to Steve. I'll let me know. But so some of the art that he's into is Grateful Dead related. I was going to tell you. I wanted to tell you, Steve, that so Grateful Dead was a band that for me, like I don't know, did they not? I just where I live, they certainly didn't seem to get airplay on radio when I was a kid. So, I mean, I don't know if they ever got airplay.
They hardly got airplay. I mean, you know, in the summer of '74, they put out 2 albums that had stuff that the radio stations that were cool in New York would play, and California, whatever. They put out American Beauty and Workman's Dead, which had like Truckin', Casey Jones, you know, so it was a little more radio friendly. But their concerts were nothing like their albums. They hated their albums.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then '87, it busted open with Touch of Grey, and they had their first top 10 single ever. I mean, they were the Warlocks in '63, and it was '87 when they first got their top 10 single. They were so great live.
Wait. What year? What year was the top 10?
'87.
Wow, the 87. Oh my God, yeah. I remember it being like the 80s, right? And I was just like, what's up with these guys? Like they haven't they been around since the 60s, but I don't know any of their music. I just know that
Rick Welch. That was the first song I ever heard by the Grateful Dead. Friend of the Devil. Spent the night in Utah. And it's not vanished. It's in a cave up in the hills, but that's okay. I'm a stickler. Good on you, Steve. You tell him. You see, Rick?
How dare you get it wrong, Rick?
Oh, Rich Carrillo just joined us. He's fantastic. The nicest people. We've had dinners after art auctions and stuff. Oh, this is such a cool show, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. And Mike at NSN Art says, "Get off my grass, hippie." I saw those times in the 70s. but yeah, like I just wanted to let you know. So yeah, for me, I never knew anything about them. Like I couldn't name you the name of a single song. It's just one of those bands I got no exposure to, you know? Yeah, and look, you're either a fanatic or you're not. It's never one way or the other. It's only one way or the other. Yeah, and I just knew that they were this band who had this really diehard following, a lot of whom loved to follow them around on tour. And that's why I interrupted you, because I was wondering, and I wanted to ask you if
and as a joke, by any chance, were you ever one of those guys who followed around the Dead on tour? And you actually did. That's crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a little over 200 shows.
Oh shit!
David Lemure, who's on the Sirius XM and puts out Dave's picks for them. He's their archivist. Talks about me and my brother on the radio show a lot. It's really bizarre. It's crazy. I love it. It's embarrassing, but I love it. You know?
That's okay.
But so anyway, so after that time, I just went back into collecting and working, and I got to know most of the high-profile people in comics, and was learning who was a rip-off artist and who was not, and you know, the School of Hard Knocks, of course. That's how we learn. But in '99, well, late '98, the people who run the Certified Collectibles group were opening CGC. They went to the top dealers and top collectors and said, who do they trust? Who can grade? Who can tell restoration? And they came to me, and I said, man, you're going to put comic books in plastic? But all of our friends were getting kind of ripped off on eBay. Right. And I was like, well, maybe if we're the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, right? But it has to be done ethically and correctly. Now, going back to the Grateful Dead, they taught me about peace and love and treating each other the way you want to be treated. And, you know, don't steal, don't lie. Their lyrics are very important to me. Just like Tim Truman, the artist, that's why he was drawing all of the lyrics for the Grateful Dead Almanac. He loved Robert Hunter. He does not do them anymore now that Robert Hunter is dead. And it's crazy. But anyway, I digress at times. But
Rick's trying to do a Grateful Dead joke to get your attention. Here,
I didn't hear that since I was 13. Anyway.
That's funny. But yeah,
anyway, so they tapped me, and I almost turned them down.
So let me quickly ask though: are you saying, because until 2000? Okay, oh god, guys, the way that I know Steve, that I connected with Steve the first time, it was back in 2000, the summer, Chicago. I'll tell this really quickly in bullet point form. Chicago Con 2000. 6 months before CGC opens, I went to dinner at Morton's Steakhouse.
Gibson's.
Sorry?
Gibson's? Across the street from Rosemont. Yeah, we had the private room, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, sure. Yes. Then, yeah, it's been a long time. So, either way, it was a steakhouse.
Yeah. Well, those were great dinners every year. Those were amazing. Neal Adams, Maggie Thompson, Billy Tucci. I mean, everybody came. And then collectors who knew nothing. Well, not knew nothing, but, you know, didn't have any. They're not veterans. But then Gary Colabano, who started, you know, was a real collector and started Chicago Con back in the day, you know, would show up. I mean, everybody. It was just a great time. We'd just sit and talk comics. Wynn would bring his Action 1 restored, let people read it. I've got a great picture of the artist Stuart Sager with me behind him as he's reading an Action 1. That's funny. And people are like, is that real? You know, it was a great time because we made a community. It was fantastic.
For sure. Anyways, anybody wanting to know, whatever, that was it. That's how I first met him, and then whatever. But yeah, go on, please. I didn't know. I wanted to ask. I didn't know because you said they had asked all the big dealers, because I had only heard of you at that dinner. That was my first time. So are you saying, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful manner, are you saying when they approached all those people, you're saying you were at that time by the late 90s considered one of the bigger dealers in the hobby of comic books?
No, I was considered one of the biggest collectors.
Oh, he's collector. Oh.
Right. And I would always take other collectors under my wing and teach them about restoration, pedigrees, because that's the fun of the hobby, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
passing
really
on the knowledge.
Oh, by the School of Hard Knocks. And I would ask people out to dinner, out to lunch. I wanted to learn. And then some people would say, stay away from this guy. And I was like, really? Why? He always treated me well. And they'd say something bad about him. And then I'd find out that they were the bad guy and didn't want me to. Right. there, back then there was a lot of hanky panky. People think there's a lot of crazy stuff going on now. Back then, as I always said, the eBay was the Wild West.
Yeah, of course.
I was getting books with no centerfold, and the guy wouldn't take it back, and I'd have to hassle with eBay, and I'd have to pay the return shipping, and it just wasn't fun. And my pages were loading, like 3 minutes at a time back then. You couldn't. It took 3 minutes to load an eBay page.
Of course. And by the way, I had already. So I haven't been in comics. I haven't collected comics since '93, right? With eBay, I kind of tried getting back into it in the later '90s, and what stopped me was I went out. I ordered a couple of books from this lady. Right? I didn't know it was a lady. Whatever. It ended up being some woman. I get these books. They're like Silver Age. I can't remember what they were exactly. Silver Age books, and they were both listed as the pictures were bad in those days. You couldn't tell the condition, right?
It was all pixelated. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The pixelation, right? And so I take a chance. I get them, and they were both listed as being VF plus, right? But both books, when they arrive, are like extremely different condition from each other, right?
Imagine that.
Right. And I'm telling the woman, well, I don't understand. You said it was pretty much the same grade, but they're so obviously one is worse than the other by a wide margin. She goes, "Oh, Ruben, as you know, grading is subjective." I'm like, what? What? From one person to another, not from you on one book to another. That's crazy. What are you talking about? And she refused to give me my money back. I was like, okay, I'm done with comics now. That's it, And that was my little story, and that's why I haven't done comics ever since, But yeah,
crazy, yeah. But even with grading, professional grading, as they call it, right? Yeah. We didn't when we started. We just called it grading.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we called it certification.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Because you're certifying the grade that was professionally graded, right? So
right, because if you do know how to grade right. as a collector or a dealer or just obvious, right? You need to be in the strike zone, right? So you send CGC what you think is a 5.0. If you're knowledgeable, you should get back a 4.55 or 5.5 because maybe I dislike staining more than you like creasing, or whatever it is, right? It is a bit subjective. And Bob Overstreet and I had a really wild conversation before the third grading guide we worked on, where I was like, look, it can't be a science. You can't say that a 1/4-inch crease on a book has to be in this grade, because if the 1/4-inch crease is on the front and it breaks color, or it's on the back and you can hardly see it, if 10 out of 10 people are going to grab the one with the back cover crease, then that's a better grade. So there is an art to it as well.
Absolutely.
But, when people say it's subjective, it's not that subjective. Bob worked really hard on grading, and Gary Carter came in and helped with the first grading guide, though he made the 100-point system. Gary was so smart, he understood the 100-point system. He was brilliant and a real fan, but it didn't make sense. We had to change it, so with the help of other people, CGC adopted the so-called 10-point scale, which is like 27 or something now, because he has 0.1, 0.3. When I created CBCS, I added 1.3 and 0.3 and 0.1. because people were putting no grade on a coverless copy, or something like that. And so a coverless copy can be up to 0.3, and a page, like splash page from Action One, is worth a fortune. Give it a 0.1. It's still garbage, but it's a grade. Saying no grade doesn't help the marketplace of value on it, right? Like I'm seeing pages from Hulk 81 now being graded. It's crazy. I mean, to me,
they're separating individual.
They find it and they send it in for grading. Nobody's separating.
Oh, okay. It's just already in bad condition, and they.
Right. They're like, hey, I'll send it for grading, and it's selling for $200. It's crazy, because if you want to afford a Hulk 181, even in VG,
Yeah.
You know, how much is it going to cost you? Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. People want to own a piece of what they love. You know, my thing was the more funds. I was collecting in the 90s, the adventures and more fun runs, but I was collecting the Edgar Church Mile High copies and the San Francisco Riley copies and Larson's, and I couldn't find a decent More Fun 52, and I hated restoration. But the More Fun 52 Church copy had a tiny bit of wood glue and a tiny bit of color touch, but it looked like a 9.6. I mean, the colors were jumping off the cover, the pages were bone white, the corners were sharp. So at the time, I spent $115,000 on it, which was the most ever paid for a comic at the time. And I was on the way home, you know.
So you were the first to set that record.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, I don't know. That was kind of crazy. Like I said, I was on the way home with a comic in my hand. I wouldn't let go of it, and you know, in a fortress, which ruined a lot of comics. But anyway, I said, a house or this comic? I'm an idiot, but I was a fanatic. I didn't care. You know, I had to have it. I had the 42 through 48 Church copies, and the 42 was a double cover. And then the Spectre books, I had the VF 53 I bought out of Sotheby's, which I was also grading for Sotheby's and for Christie's back in the 90s.
No.
With Jerry Wiest, you know, my
those like 1992, circa 1992 to
right.
94.
Well, the 90s. Right. The last one was was 2000, where we certified books. I certified Annie Gaines's file copies. I went to her house and I explained to her what certification was. She gave me a big hug after the auction because she thought it was worth half as much. And I said, if you certify them, they'll sell. She still is, but we haven't been in contact in a while. Wonderful woman. Bill, you know, she loved Bill to death, and he did so much for our hobby, you know, Bill Gaines. But anyway, so I did CGC for a bunch of years. I got a little burnt out of reading books every day.
Do you? I always said, when you guys started that up, I always said to myself, I was just like, man, how do these guys sit there all day, every day, just doing nothing but grading? Oh, it's got to wear on you because of the monotony, right? I mean, I know you love it. You love it, but it's, you know, it still gets monotonous. Come on.
The thing that worked was I was allowed to pick my own crew. I mean, I made some
that's cool
decisions about joining that they had to agree to.
Right.
Ethics, things like that, because I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. Right. But I didn't want somebody with no ethics taking over the job. And I picked Mark Haspel as my second in command, he's not in the limelight. He was this younger guy, and I love young talent because they soak stuff up. But he knew more about the minutia of certain books, like Crying Lion #2, which is a funny book from 44. He knew it had a Hitler story. Oh. Right. Nobody else knows that. Right. But I brought him on, and I get a call from the owners of Certified Collectibles Group, and they said there was these two guys in New York who didn't want. Well, they didn't say who it was. They just said there's some concerns about who you picked, and I was like, "What are you talking about? You know, this is great. We're lucky we got him. I spent 6 months on the phone trying to get him on board." Right. And they were like, "Well, there's some people in New York that are worried." And I realized who it was. I asked them, and they, you know, some big players. And I said, they think he can't be bought and he can't be bullied. Mm. And that's why I picked him, not just because of his knowledge. And so we sat around so we could talk to each other about books while we were doing it. And we would stay, you know, I used to stop at 2 a.m. I slept on the couch, woke up at 7, got back up, did it, went out for lunch, you know, with Mark and whoever else, Paul Litch at the time. He's still with CGC. Very nice guy, young kid. We hired him once again, young talent, good eye. We were training him basically. Mm-hmm. So he had to count pages all day long. I don't know how he did it, man. You know, we got one collection with lots of hair in all the books.
Oh yeah.
And I had to like count the pages and
You gotta like shake it out.
Yeah, it was
Like, you just
terrible.
brush it out, shake it out. How do you do it?
You blew. You just.
Oh, you just blew it.
Yeah.
Well, what about the hairs? They can get stuck right in the spine on the inside.
Yeah. It's crazy. But things changed a bit. Like I said, so I went to Heritage, where I brought in millions of dollars worth of books and art. Broke open the modern art auctions for them, bringing in the McFarlane collection, the Miracle Man stuff. They were all like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Promising to cover the catalog. I was like, "This is good stuff, man."
Yeah.
And of course, that record sale of the Amazing Spider-Man cover where Hulk's punching him through the. Or he's punching Hulk, or I can't remember now. Anyway, it sold for like $657,000 at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Frazetta, but so that was really
to the auction house. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever's going to bring in big money pieces.
Right, but I didn't believe that.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they were like, but you signed a contract saying we'll give them the cover. What if we get a Frazetta in? I said, doesn't matter. Frazetta will sell.
Right.
This stuff is what the next generation wants.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Like I did Maggie Thompson's collection, the First Lady of Comics, Comic Buyer's Guide.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic.
I used to love Maggie and Don.
Oh, they were so nice. I mean, Maggie and I used to have breakfast every Saturday morning in San Diego. Even if I stayed up too late, I made sure I made it, because talk about a wealth of knowledge and a love for the hobby. This woman is unbelievable. And she's still going, man. She's still rocking it. And her family is nice. I've gotten to meet them. Went to a radio show with her because she was into that. It was in my area, so it was fun. But anyway, so I left CGC and left Heritage. The only reason I left Heritage is because somebody came to me and said they're not happy with CGC. Would I start a service? I said, well, it depends on the ethics, and somebody has to have money. And I don't think he really knew what he was doing. I mean, our first 3 years, we were gangbusters, man. I mean, we were making such headway. CGC was scared. It was great.
It wasn't West that you're talking about, though?
No, West was working with me. I hired him.
Oh, you hired him?
So we started together, basically.
Oh yeah. No, I knew
with Steve Ricketts, Joshua Mond. But the guy who said he had the money and the investors, I don't know. Somehow he thought we were going to make money out the door. I told him it cost $2.4 million open. We ran through the numbers. He said I was correct. But after a while, he didn't want to put money in. And I said it took 5 years for CGC to make money. So then Beckett bought us. Beckett didn't care enough about the hobby, only about doing it like they do cards, which is a different situation. I mean, like we talked about, the friends that we meet and the books that we love are really what count in the ethics. And it was more like, hey, Borock, you don't need to be on the convention floor. You don't need to be on podcasts. You don't need to be on social media. We're not going to put together the big convention dinners at the convention in Rosemont anymore. And I was like, I gave it a try, and I just said no. And then Josh Nathanson, I went to my comic shop for a little bit because I love Buddy and Conan and Judy and all the people there. And they were in Texas. We were living in Texas. My wife was working for CBCS, doing receiving and customer service.
Oh, really? Okay.
But we have grandkids, young grandkids. We wanted to come home. And when I was working for Heritage, I just worked at home. All I needed was a computer, pen and paper, and a phone. Get on planes, go to conventions, put on a suit and tie, look like a non-deadhead if I could. They didn't want somebody who was working remote, which is, was a bummer for me, but I don't want to miss my grandkids growing up. And I missed my
I hear you, dude. I hear
friends
you.
and family are all that matter. I mean, look at behind me. I mean, this is all I care.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I got
you. The comic books are secondary. The friends and family are first. And if they're comic friends, that's even better.
Exactly. People are, I mean, that's what the world should be about, right? People, not
Right. So Josh Nathanson called me at ComicLink. We've been friends since he started, basically. He actually has called me his mentor, which is a little embarrassing, but wonderful. And so he said, yeah, you can work out of the house. I don't care, you know. And in the last month, I mean, I picked up a Black Cat 50 that's probably going to be a 9.4, I think. Crypt of Terra number 19 and 9.2. I just picked up this beautiful Russ Heath story, The Death of the Haunted Tank, 14 pages.
Oh, nice.
And a beautiful page from Winter Soldier, which I loved that storyline. I was a Cap fan as a kid, and it rejuvenated Captain America. But I collect what I love. You know, lots of Grateful Dead Tim Truman art. If I can find it, a lot of it went to record executives.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I'm willing to pay, so it comes out of the woodwork occasionally. You know.
Yeah. Does that stuff that you've picked up, does it tend to be like stuff that was used for concert posters or what?
No. He did every quarter for the Grateful Dead Almanac, which used to be a newspaper sent to you, and then now it's online.
Okay.
He would do the drawing. So here, I don't know if you guys can all see it, right? But
I love that piece. I love it. I was going to show it tonight, but then I was like, I don't want to keep adding more.
We got Tennessee Jed. You know, I mean, it is so cool. And Tim Truman is one of the nicest guys and one of my favorite artists. So I lost a Hawkworld piece in Heritage. I was bidding and I couldn't get it. This cover by Tim Truman. And I wrote to him and I said, look, I really want a piece of your art. I'm also a Deadhead. And is there any for sale? And he wrote me back saying, hey, man, I just got a piece back from the Grateful Dead. Would you like it? And like an idiot, I said, what song? Instead of yes. I could have blown that whole thing. But it was Alligator, the first Grateful Dead lyric Robert Hunter ever wrote. I was like, done. He charged me so little. I said, we started emailing back and forth, sending pictures of our kids, talking about the Grateful Dead, talking about comics. It was just a wonderful thing. I was in fan heaven, and he was just talking to some other Deadhead that liked comics. But I asked him if I could have dibs on the next piece. He said, sure, send me a list of names. If I like any of them, I'll do them. If not, I'll do something else, whatever. I get in the mail, the Grateful Dead Almanac, and my friends start calling me up going, isn't that Rachel in there? And he drew my daughter into the song that I used to sing to her in bed called Standing on the Moon. It's a lovely view of heaven, but I'd rather be with you. So his son is in it and my daughter is in it.
That's awesome, dude.
It'll never be for sale. I mean,
oh my God.
It
better not be.
Never. Oh, my daughter would kill me.
She better keep it and will it to her kids. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Well, her kids see it and they love it. They go, "That's mommy." It's beautiful, and I sing them that song,
beautiful,
which is really cool. So Josh and I have been working together now for about 6 months, and I'm having a great time. It's a lot of work.
Can I ask you? That's one of the questions I'd like to ask. I'm sorry to interrupt again, of course.
No, not at all. It's your show, man.
I appreciate it. Is your put aside your title, whatever your title is with them right now? Can you just tell everybody what is the primary tasks for you to work there at ComicLink right now? In other words, what is the primary thing they want you to do?
Okay, well, they want me to pick up consignments, of course, or buy stuff, though we pay less than if you consigned it. You always, cash costs you money, right? But they also want me to be the ambassador for ComicLink, like I've been for everything else, whether it's, that or even the Hero Initiative, right? This is my favorite part of the hobby, is being on the board of Hero Initiative with people like Walt Simonson. It's unbelievable. And Walt Simonson called me when I was on the road the other day. That was like, I'm talking to Walt Simonson. Thor 37 blew my mind, So that to me is my most important role is to be an ambassador for the hobby. Bob Overstreet taught me this, and Steve Jeppe, and John Snyder II, who's, by the way, his son, John Snyder III, is a great friend, amazing artist. John K. Snyder III is how he says. But basically, it's to be an ambassador for ComicLink. Make sure nobody gets ripped off. Like, I don't tell somebody, wow, your piece is 20 grand, give it to me. I say, well, it could go for between 14 and 20. I give them the high and the low, because we never know where things are going to end up, right?
You have to.
The grading company is going to give the book, right? I might think it's a 5. They get a 4 or 5, and if it's not a big book, they're unhappy, right? So I always give spreads. I'm always honest. You know, how often do you try to get? Never. By the way, I never get Simonsons.
Steve, that's only because you know it's pointless. That's why.
Not just pointless, but friends don't bother friends.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not about the money to me. I could have made a lot more money in this hobby. I mean, I make people millionaires.
I'm
not a millionaire.
That's what I've said.
Not close.
That's what I've said many times, because I used to be a full-time art dealer. And I sacrificed a lot of money by not dealing in certain types of art and kind of sticking to other certain types of art that I knew was going to make me less money. But I loved it. And I just figured I just want to do something with my life that I really, truly love and I'm passionate about.
Exactly.
It's all about.
Like I said, I just turned 60, 48 years in the hobby, but I've been reading way before that. The hobby has given me such joy and so many friendships that I'm not looking for an extra nickel from somebody. You know, it's not worth it. My reputation is worth everything. You can't keep trying to squeeze every last penny out of every last comic or piece of art or whatever. You know, like, it's at a certain point, it's like you have to say enough. Like, when is it enough, right? Like, well, right. See, I try to manage people's expectations because usually they're high, right? Most people are, like Mark Haspelin always said, most people are angry at nickels for not being dimes, right? Yeah. You know, when I told them their action one is a 3.0, they were like, I thought it was a 4. I'm like, you know. But anyway, but especially when I'm in the middle of getting a consignment, which is really, really important for, you know, not just me, but for ComicLink as well, is after Charlotte, I got a call to pick up some artwork. Guy says he hasn't seen his art out of his portfolio in about 15 years. And the first piece I saw was pretty cool. You know, I turned the page and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I said to him, so I could manage expectations, I said, what are you looking for? I didn't want to waste his day or my day if we were so off. And he said, I don't know, I paid about $225 for it back in the day. I think I'll take like $2,000. I was like, look, this is a $10,000 piece. So a lot of people would have come in, asked what he wanted for it, and would have bought it, right? And I picked up probably $150,000 worth of material that he would have sold for $40,000. If that happened, it's terrible. The line I get to use now is when I talk to people, I'm like, oh, you're talking to so-and-so. He's a good guy. You know, you're talking to so-and-so. Well, I really have nothing to say. I said, but do me a favor, Google me. Most people can't say that without them seeing something really weird written about them. I think actually you probably could, though. You know, I think you could tell people to Google you and you'll be fine. I hope so. I really don't know. So I'm not. I don't think I've ever. Well, just from our conversations, I'm thinking that's all. Yeah. You know, you're a true hobbyist, man. You know, I love it. You know, you didn't want a picture of me in a suit and tie. You were like, "Let me get a picture of you in a t-shirt." I'm like, "Cool, that's what I wear every day." You know. Let me just tell everybody, guys and gals, so you know, yes, what Steve just said is true. I was like, if you can, please don't come in a suit, just jeans and t-shirt. And also, yes, I'm this much of a stickler. You guys know this is all about just coming together once a week to have a bunch of fun. And so but that's what sold me on the show. You didn't say about the suit and tie earlier. You were telling me about the show, and I was like, this sounds so much fun. Yeah. You know. Yeah, exactly. I just happened to, we were talking on the phone, and then I just happened to talk about what I was doing with this show, and Steve's all of a sudden like,
oh my God, that sounds so much fun. I'm like, really? Like, you should come in and be one of my, in studio guests and hang out,
Okay, let's have fun, man. Because that's what the hobby is about. If you're not having fun or you're not making a super living, get out, man. You're not needed and you're not having fun. Go have, live your life to its fullest. It goes back to the Grateful Dead lyrics. I'm sorry, I'm such a hippie.
No,
but
I love music. I love. Listen, I love music, even though I don't know anything about the Dead. No, I apologize.
I'm going to send you some lyrics that I think you'll appreciate.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm all about that, man. Yeah, for sure.
And West really loves the Dead. Ask him.
Oh, really?
He wants those 45-minute jams.
Oh, I didn't know.
Where it doesn't even make sense. Just ask him. You'll see. I'm kidding. He hates the Dead. Anyway,
I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
West and I have completely different taste in music. We can't even, as much as we love each other, there's almost nothing we can listen to together. I love Tom Waits. He can't stand him. I think he calls him gravel mouth.
That's funny. Thank you, Mikhail. I appreciate it, buddy. It was yesterday, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, happy Canada Day. I didn't know. I'm in my own world. I had the grandkids all weekend. It wasn't.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's good. It's good. We're all good, man. I appreciate it. But no, that's exactly it, man. It's all about the fun. And I want everybody, all you people in the chat room to know also that I was kind of insisting, even I was in as polite a way as I could, asking Steve. I was like, hey, listen, when you click the link to log into my studio, could you please just when you type your name in, could you only type your first and last name? Because I don't include whatever your position is at ComicLink.
Did I care? I
want
to come hang with as collector.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
bring up my history. I probably would have mentioned one or two little things during but
because I knew that we were still going to talk about your history and whatever you want to talk about. It's fine, and all the companies you've worked for, that's all good. It's just that the initial visual, if somebody, when we're not live anymore, right, and somebody comes to the channel and let me click and see what this was about with Steve. Let's see. They're going to be thinking, people that know who you are, they're going to be thinking oh, Steve Borock, again, for the millionth time on an interview or whatever, what's this? What's he going to talk about this time? But I was always thinking, if they click it and they see that it doesn't say, consignment director at ComicLink or, whatever.
Right.
And you're not in your suit. I'm like, maybe they'll stick around and they'll see that, hey, it's going to be more.
Well, I don't do the interviews in suits.
Well, this is not an interview. I don't do interviews, just FYI.
I'm saying online. I'm saying, unless I'm at a convention,
Yeah, exactly.
When I'm hanging at home, I don't care, Look,
No, I love the fact that you didn't shave, so that's good.
Why, you think I'm prettier this way?
I do. No, you look good. And to me, look, I've always said to everybody, me personally, my entire life, I've always been I describe myself as a jeans and t-shirt guy. I just don't feel comfortable in suits, ties, and whatever, And so this hobby, especially, what is it other than a jeans and t-shirts or shorts and t-shirts type hobby, right? There's no more laid back hobby than this. So it's weird for me. Honestly, when I see you having to do, under your capacity as whoever you've been working for, and I see you in your suit and so, and I'm like, man, Steve, they should let him just wear the jeans and t-shirt and represent with jeans and t-shirt because
there's a difference though when somebody new comes into the hobby and they found their father's collection, it has an Action 1. Who do you want to give it to? The guy with the mustard stained t-shirt or the guy in the suit?
Well, you should have a clean t-shirt first of all, but,
right.
But I know what you're saying. I get your
business is business.
Yes,
and I have to understand that. I'd rather, wear a Grateful Dead t-shirt like I am now. I got my, Snoopy Grateful Dead t-shirt, and not Snoopy, but whatever.
Charlie Brown.
But I'd much rather do that. And if you saw pictures of me at Sotheby's back in the day when people used to wear suits. I was wearing bell-bottom jeans and a ripped up Grateful Dead t-shirt. My hair was down and black and my beard was here. And I didn't care, right? But to represent other people, I should be respectful to them,
right,
and do the best job I can for them. So
I
guess,
get it.
you know,
I get it, by the way.
But I do wear a lapel pin that if you're a deadhead, you'll know it. If you're not, like I don't wear steal your face, you know. I wear like a cat's down to the stars, and which means nothing to you. But anyway, people come up and go, "Oh my God, I love that," you know, and boom, I've connected with another, you know, music fan.
Sure, absolutely.
So, but we're talking a bit about the Hero Initiative. If you don't mind, that's the most important thing to me. And we
Absolutely.
can talk about everything else, and we don't even have to talk about me. We could talk about art. We could talk about whatever.
Absolutely. If you want to talk a bit about that, let me just pop up. Let me share the screen so at least people who don't know much or anything about it, they can kind of see what it looks like. And then you could start telling us all about it. And then after that, we can.
I won't ramble for too long.
Yeah,
you know.
But you know, a few minutes, say everything you got to say. That's cool. Let me see here. So let me see. Shall share the comics initiative. Here we go. Let's do this. All right, and this is what the website looks like. And why don't you go ahead and make your pitch, bud.
Okay, well, basically, this is, you know, it says helping creators in need. The people who gave us so much enjoyment, and, you know, they're now, some of them are older or some of them are young. Like, you know, at the beginning of your show tonight, you were saying how she needs help, right? Once again, it goes back to, you know, we help each other. And when Jim McLaughlin put this together, I was not on the board. It was, you know, Mark Alessi started it with him, who owned CrossGen. And they said, why did we have it in baseball for the people who need help? That came, you know, way before there was millions of dollars in it for them. Why should we do the same thing for comic creators, writers, artists, inkers? Like I would never be allowed to get charity from it. I never gave anybody the kind of enjoyment that they do, right? But I always say that if I would take charity, if I ever needed it, then I should do the work and I should give money. Now, it's so important to me that I was doing a lot of work with them. Jim asked me to be on the board, and the rest is history. But
when was that, Steve?
Oh my Lord, I think it was like 2003, 2004.
Wow! You've already celebrated at least your 20th anniversary with them.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not an artist like Simonson and everybody. There's so many amazing people on the board, and I'm on the email string with Brian Polito or Joe Quesada, and I'm like, what's going on here, man? How did I do this? The kid in me is so happy, but really the hippie in me is the happiest. Where, you know, we always pay for meals, pay for medical, pay for taxis or Ubers or whatever to get back and forth. We've actually spent money on housing for these people, and there's no reason that the people who gave us all this enjoyment are living like that. It's terrible. And like, think about it. We have a large hobby. If everybody donated $1 every 6 months, we'd be able to take care of so many people. We're not, I mean, the only price guide I buy is, well, I get my free copy because I'm an advisor to Bob, right? But I buy the Hero Initiative copy, which is cool because it's limited edition. So if somebody doesn't really want to have two, they could keep it sealed. And since there's like, 500 made, later on, it's going to be worth money. Invest in it. It's going to cost you $25, $30. Who cares? Right? We're helping people. Now, don't get me wrong. If you don't have the money to help people, that's different. But I deal with multimillionaires every day. Right. And some of them tell me, I don't believe in charity. And it freaks me out. Like I said, if I ever needed it, I would accept it. So I better work for it now, just in case.
Yeah. What do you think about someone like me I have a lifelong aversion to accepting that kind of thing? Like I like to help people, right? But and people say, well, you're kind of being a hypocrite because you're always wanting to, like, you want to help this person or that person do this, that, or the other. But when you need help, you're always the first guy to, like, oh, like, no, it's okay. Don't.
Yeah, I do the same thing,
Okay, yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, I mean,
so I know it's hypocritical, right? But I don't know.
It's not. It's being a human being. Now,
No,
if you really needed help, you would take it because you don't want your family to starve.
I mean, look,
that's the difference.
It depends. The truth is, honestly, I would have to be in such dire financial straits for me to ever. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Like really bad.
There's hills and valleys in life where we need help differently. I mean, maybe I need somebody to watch my grandkids because Rachel's sick and she can't watch the kids. And Mark Haspel and his wife would watch them, right? That's charity. It's called being good to each other.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But I accept the help.
Yeah.
I don't say to my daughter, well, you're all on your own and I'm not going to go do business. I accept help because we help each other.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
That makes perfect sense. And I mean, it's always nice. I mean, I don't go to conventions much anymore, but whenever I would, be at the cons, Chicago, New York, wherever the Heroes booth, the Hero Initiative booth would be, it's like you pass by, throw at least the 20 into the, or
a dollar or
even, whatever. Right? Exactly. I was just going to say,
matter. Or if you have a comic that's worth $4 that you hate, give it to them. Right?
Yeah. Oh, they take comics?
Mm-hmm.
Really? That's kind of weird.
They'll take art. They'll take comics.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they won't take garbage because,
well, you just said a $4 comic, though.
Right, but they'll put it out the table. They won't put it on eBay.
Oh, I see. Right.
They'll take that $4 comic and have McFarlane sign it for free, and it becomes a $30 comic.
Right.
Or whatever the money is. I have no clue. I don't follow the raw signed market. But still, I mean, as a kid, when I went to Kirby's table and he signed a book for free for me, of course, on the first page, we didn't ruin the covers back then. I hate the new Signature series. I liked it on the inside, but you can't see it from the holder anymore. So I get it. But I didn't want to ruin the art. Everything you see from like basically the mid 90s down is signed on the first page or the splash page of the book. Or the back cover, if they did, there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the back cover and Flaming Carrot at the front, and Eastman signs it, right?
Right.
You kind of get it. I love the art. So even though I've invested at times in Signature Series, I just got a great deal on, what was it? X-Men 14 annual, the cameo of Gambit, right? A little too new for me, but I enjoyed the storyline. I love Art Adams, right?
Sure.
So this book was in auction, and it was signed by Stan Lee, Bryan Singer.
Bryan Singer. Wow.
Well, right, because it was based on, the movie was partially based on that book. Art Adams, and then Art did an amazing sketch of Warlock, right? And
on the comic, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was all the signatures, and there was Chris Claremont, and I think Anne was on that. Nociati, is that how you pronounce her name? She's on the Board of Hero Initiative. I should know that.
Annie Innocenti, you mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I always screw up her and Sekevich's name big time. But anyway, I bought it.
Karen says she loves it when they sign on the interior. She doesn't. Karen, does that mean is that a nice way of saying I hate it when they sign it on the cover? I think that's what she's trying to say in a nice way, but she'll let us know.
No, but it was cool, so I bought it. It was like $450. I mean, when Max was raping Stan, I think he was charging $250, $300 for a signature, right? Right. Adams' signature with a remark is worth something, right? And Bryan Singer, I mean, that's crazy, right? And so it's something I want to put in my room. But if I find the right piece of art that somebody wants to trade for it, I've got to hang with Stan so many times, and I have a couple of Stan signed books that are with the Hero Initiative, especially. But like I said, he had a tough time at the end. I mean, I wish that guy didn't take such advantage. He was charging so much and telling this 92-year-old man that, hey, we did great today. We made $4,000. And at 98, Stan was like, wow, we made $4,000 at the convention? Yeah. Meanwhile, they made 54. He was going and buying art for cash and putting it away. Yeah, it's horrible the way this man was treated at the end. People found it was not deserved.
People found that out as a fact, for a fact, or is that the strong rumor?
He was sued.
Oh, really?
That's why he's gone.
Oh,
he was a bad man.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like bad guys. Look, we grew up on good versus evil.
Right.
Let's keep that in our hearts, man.
Exactly. Steve, just real quick, Comic Art Boston, a good friend of mine, collector for many decades, just wants to say it's always very easy to bid high on Hero Initiative auctions because I know that the money will go to help those in need. So absolutely. Like I said, I've spent money that I didn't even want, but I saw something was going low, and I was like, well, I can bid the extra $10. It's not going to hurt me. Yeah. But they also sell a lot of swag on their site and stuff. And if you keep checking back, you'll see neat stuff. But I'm sorry, I don't want to ruin your show about talking about the Hero Initiative. It's just you're not. Please don't even try to apologize for that. That's crazy. Like,
thank you.
Don't even. No. Like, these people know. They're all my friends. We're all friends here. Everybody respects each other. I've been doing this for just slightly over a year, and I can't remember every week, and I have yet to have a single incident where somebody may have popped into the chat and been disrespectful to another person.
That's fantastic. I've been on chats where people tell me to go screw myself.
Yeah. No. So that's it. So
it's hurtful.
These are all, for me, it's all family, and they all know, like, I if I want to do something, to just do something for somebody, like I did for Zyla Parsons, or I tried to anyways, I'm going to do it,
Right. Because if we don't try, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's it.
Like I was working with Mike Nagan, one of the nicest people in our hobby, and he was starting those auctions for St. Jude's Research Hospital at the New York show. Well, that's where I met Rich Cirillo and his wife. Another, great guy. Oh, there's Nick Barucci jumping in.
Oh, Barucci came in. The Baruch.
How are you, pal? I've known Nicky since I think he was 16. Maybe.
Yeah, probably at the conventions, probably, right?
Huh?
You probably knew him from the conventions when he was wheeling and dealing Weekend Warrior, or
yeah. What? Yeah, sure. I mean, Nicky tells me that he wasn't making a lot of money. They'd see me walk in the room, and he'd like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna make some money.
I'm gonna be nice."
I love Nicky. Right? Nicky loves our hobby. He loves the art.
We know.
An amazing guy. I mean, and what he's built with dynamite or dynamic, whatever it is. Amazing. I mean, I have Joe Jusko's. It's gigantic. You can't even see me on screen, right? Anyway, first Red Sonja artwork. Nicky asked him for a wraparound cover. He never uses a wraparound cover because he loved it so much. He made print out of it.
Okay.
And I own it. And Jusco told me, he's like, that's my first Red Sonja.
Oh,
I'm
that
like,
one.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
You know, I will, you know, it's another one that I'm not going to sell unless I need money, you know, or Joe needs it. If Joe wanted it, you know, he's a brother. It's all good.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Somebody just said Nick is a great guy. Mike Nagan is good people. You guys are right.
Yeah.
You know, somebody said your initiative is an amazing initiative and a worthy cause.
Oh, there we go. Tariq, thank you, Tariq. Yeah, exactly. Tariq.
Yeah, you have a good community here, man. I love this.
I love these people. I honestly, I started to do it just because I just wanted to test myself. I'm not a tech person at all. I knew nothing about technology. It took like 8 hours just to figure out what kind of a camera to buy. I mean, to do this, right? So,
right.
And I thought, you know what? If I could just build this into a kind of a place where it's just a meeting place for all of us, whoever wants to come, just be nice to each other, have a ton of laughs, which is usually what we do. Tonight, not so many laughs tonight because everybody's just sort of fixated listening to you, you know. But
I'm sorry. Let's laugh, man. I don't care. You know,
it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But I'm just saying, and really, that's what it has become. I think I've succeeded at least in that. It's a small little community, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic, and yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way, man. Especially so grateful. I tell these people all the time. These guys and gals are the reason I keep doing it week to week. Look, sometimes I don't feel like getting on a Sunday night and like, oh, I got to do a show. Like I've got shit to do, you know, whatever. I got family stuff. I don't feel like it, or I'm feeling bad or whatever. And I still do it because that's who I am. You know, I'm responsible, right? I got to meet my, deadlines, even though I don't pay her, whatever, right? But we
have to do what we say we're going to do. We don't break a handshake. We don't lie.
Exactly. To me, I still treat it like it does pay me, right? And professionally, just be professional. So that's it. And everybody who comes is so nice. And so we like I said, it's like everybody's a big joint family. And so yeah, it's really the highlight of my week, really, oftentimes, you know. So
this has been the highlight of mine. So it's cool. I like it.
Very nice of you to say.
And not just that, but I mean, tell you how much of a highlight of my week this was. I think I brought in $1 million worth of stuff for ComicLink.
Nice.
I'm looking through it. Like I said, we just got the last the Death of the Haunted Tank story by Russ Heath, and I was a little kid looking at all the pages and having so much fun. Yeah. And the guy thought it was worth like $10K. It's probably worth about 25. And once again, I was like, look, man, you know, this is wonderful, but don't undersell your stuff.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you, Dwayne Zapane. That's exactly right. Great to see new folks become regulars. That says something about the community. Exactly.
It does. You know, what is that line from the Costner movie? If you build it, they will come.
They will come. Yeah.
But you have to do it right.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've always sort of taken the attitude that like I've always loved the hobby, and by hobby I mean, you know, it started with comics for me, even though I'm not in comics anymore.
I used to call it fandom. That's what it was called.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, perfect way to put it, right? And it's like, man, it's just you grow up with it. It's just a part. Certainly for me, it's been a part of who I am as a person for almost my entire life, and so all along the way, you know, I've always tried to do my little part to. Okay, let me try to leave this hobby a little bit better than when I came into it, kind of, you know, that kind of mindset, you know. And that's why, you know, this is not like, listen, I got 428 subscribers on this channel. It ain't, you know, it ain't gonna reach the vestiges of the entire hobby.
But those 428 people are having a blast.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't care. Yeah. Whoever does show up has a great time. I hope they do, anyways. I like to think they do. And honestly, the people that come into the live chat, I tell them all the time, I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for them, because there's plenty of channels that are just, you know, you can record some content and you talk about comics, you know, whatever. But for me, it's about the people. The hobby is about way more about the people and the friendships and relationships that I've made over the years. So much more now to me than it's about getting my next piece of artwork, you know?
Exactly.
So, and I know you understand.
Remember how excited I was? I just got in my Sandman piece.
Yeah.
By Jae Lee. I was like freaking out when I was talking to you, right? It took me 8 months to pay it off, but I was so happy. I mean, and you saw how beautiful it was. I didn't even know it was a cover. I thought it was just a poster.
Yeah,
you found that it was the comic book cover. Now I'm like, wait a minute, I paid too little. It's a published piece of comic book cover, But the guy was really cool. He was another collector. I reached out to him. I didn't know who he was. I just said, you put this up on CAF and, can you do any better? And would you do time payments with a non-refundable deposit? Right? Because I always offer non-refundable deposits because what if I get hit by a car? The guy's screwed, right? But he was so cool. I thought he was gonna come back and say, yeah, like $500, $1,000 or whatever, and 3 months. And he came back at $300, 8 months. I was like, I can do this on my head. Right? And it came in the other day, and it's even more beautiful than the picture he sent. It's so detailed. Jae Lee's amazing. Like I said, I met him at a card game. I didn't know who he was. I was talking poker crap to the guy, and at the break, I was like, "So, what do you do in comics?" He's like, "Oh, I work for Marvel." And I was like, "What do you do?" He's like, "In humans." I was like, "You're Jae Lee," and I was talking crap to this guy. And Paul Dini was the guy on the bed named Paul, and Jim Lee was the guy across from me that I was talking crap to, and. Gareb Sheamus owned Wizard at the time, and Dave Mandel is a good friend of mine, and they were going to have a poker game, and they just invited me to, because we all got along. And, sure. But I was in fanboy heaven after the break. I was like, I couldn't talk poker crap. I was like so polite.
I can imagine. Well, sure. I mean, what a bizarre way to meet Jae Lee,
and Jim Lee and Jim Lee, crazy,
the whole gang. That's awesome. So yeah, you want to show? We don't have many pieces. Do you want to show the few pieces we got? Want to start showing that now? Yeah,
that's right. I brought some pieces too. So
and you still have more? Okay, good. That's even cooler. Okay, Tariq, keep doing what you're doing, my brother Ruben. Thank you, Tariq. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
it means a lot, man. It really does.
Phineas Freak gets all my consignments. Does he remember that he got them? I love the Freak Brothers. I grew up on it.
Boy, we had a long one. Sorry. So David in Oz, my friend David. Ruben, what is so great about your show is that questions are put to you and guests, and the answers are given in a polite and respectful way. Watching your show is so entertaining and informative. Wow, man.
Man, just like you did.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It's true, man. People are so nice here. It's great. I'd come back in a second, and if not, maybe I'll join up on the chat
on the other side. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, everybody. Why don't we take a look at the few pieces of art that I lined up here from Steve and
my collection. Yeah.
Oh, and actually, you know what, Steve, give me just a quick minute before we get into it. I just want to give Nikki a quick promo. Like I always do, and I don't know if he's still here anymore anyways, but Nick, I always do it.
I've had too much coffee. Yeah. I'm gonna run out for a second.
Absolutely.
I'll be right back.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead. Yeah. So everybody, as always, yes, please don't forget to check out Nick's show, The Original Art Experience, every Friday, and including this coming Friday. Always at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. And I am here. I'm going to give you guys, for anybody who still hasn't checked out, I mean, I find it hard to believe that anybody here hasn't already, I'm sure there's always somebody. There are always few exceptions because, people are tied up for time. So I certainly would understand that. But for the benefit of those of you who may never have seen it, here, let me pop this into the chat. This link, everybody, that I'm putting into the chat, I hope it's there, and I hope it's a clickable link. That should be, somebody please test it for me. That would be awesome. That should take you to this coming Friday's show, this coming Friday's episode. So hopefully, let me know if that link works. And yeah, check it out if you haven't checked it out so far. If you've never checked that out, it's a lot of fun. Nick's show is basically a sales show, but it's also a bit of a hangout show like this is. So he sells art, and we talk a lot. A lot of us that are here tonight, of course, are also tuning into Nick's show. So a lot of fun, a lot of crossover between the channels with the audience, so to speak. And yeah, that makes it a lot of fun because everybody gets to know each other even more. And yeah, it's awesome. And you're welcome, Nick. Thank you, as always. Appreciate you. Rickster, you're in with the jokes big time tonight, man. Constant. You're very constant tonight. Who is this Nick guy?
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No worries, man. No worries. No, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Thank you. Nick Dabarucci.
Who is this Nick guy?
And yeah, thank you, Gabe. Appreciate it. Thank you. So there you go, everybody. All right. So now that Steve is here with us, why don't we take a look at the first? Oh, and guys, okay. So, okay, I might as well, you know, we still actually have time. We're doing really good with Steve's self-imposed deadline. So let me just quickly tell you. So as quick as I can. So I meet Steve at this dinner in Chicago because he's trying to tell everybody about the CGC thing, professionally grading comics, slabbing comics, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there most of the dinner. I mean, you know, just eating, but I'm sitting there fuming because I'm like, I hate this idea. This is going to ruin comics. Like, I get the idea, but I'm like, no way, man. You're going to destroy. And I just didn't want to say anything. I'm just like, there's so many people.
Oh, I had a fight for years.
I imagine.
From 99 to like 2001, halfway through. But then the Greg Manning auction happened and everything exploded.
Right.
Right. Harley Yee couldn't get to our booth fast enough.
I can imagine.
Candid in comics.
Yeah, for sure. So look, ultimately, obviously, I was probably one of the few at the table. You know, I was wrong, and I admit it. So there you go.
Look, you weren't alone.
Oh no, I know I wasn't alone in thinking that way. You know,
sure.
Yeah, for sure. I get that.
I mean, this was new. Like I said, I almost turned them down. It would have screwed up my, whole life.
Yeah. No,
it could have screwed up comics if they hired the wrong person with the wrong.
That's well, very, very much so. Absolutely.
I mean, guys would come up to me and said, "Don't you want a white envelope of cash at the end of the month?" And I said, "No."
Oh, my God.
My hobby means more than the money.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So anyways, the small story short. So that was it. That dinner ended 6 months later. CGC opens for business. I believe so. January 2001, right, Steve? Or was that
no, 2000, January 4th. I will never forget the day. We actually
January of 2004?
No, 2000, January 4th.
January of 2000.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, no. So then, sorry. So it's my bad memory. The dinner would have been 6 months earlier at Chicago Con.
Exactly.
Yeah, you guys hadn't opened yet. That I remember, Right. Okay. So it would have been Chicago.
All these so-called experts who are no longer around.
Right.
Were saying how I'm going to ruin the hobby in comic book marketplace.
Right.
And I had to come defend myself.
It was
crazy.
I still have a magazine box of a bunch of those comic book marketplace issues. I used to just read it for what was happening in the letters pages. Because that was all the action.
Gary put out such a beautiful magazine. I mean, I still have a bunch of them.
Gorgeous,
especially the ones where I'm fighting.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of showing my daughter.
Yeah. No, it's I love to read it for that. It's a fantastic magazine across the board anyways. But that was my favorite part, man. Look, because that's what led you to know, okay, what's happening inside the hobby, right? Like the nitty-gritty behind the scenes. Outside your local comic shop, you know.
But people had their own agenda. If you couldn't read between the lines,
of course.
So there was a dealer. I won't mention his name.
Sure.
He was really big in CBM, and he would hype up Harbinger 1, right?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Yeah, and so I had 4 copies in near mint. Went to his table, said, "Hey man, you just wrote about this. Let's trade for the Superman 16." He was like, "Well," I said, "Well, here's what your road's worth. Here's the price on the Superman 16. Are you saying what you wrote was wrong? And he was like, well, there was all those kind of people back then, and they would pontificate and to make themselves more money. It wasn't always straightforward. Some of the people that I thought were, the leaders of our hobby, really kind of let me down. It was kind of a bummer. But I was younger and I was dumber, and it's okay. Now I'm still dumb, but I'm not as young, so I've been around.
I love self-deprecating people, so I will just say I'm not that I'm agreeing that you're dumb, but I just love that you're willing to say, I'm still dumb, because I'm kind of like that too. I love people.
Well, the smartest people I know are the ones who know what they don't know.
Yes.
People. And I've learned from them, right? I don't want to say I know everything, because nobody does.
No. And that's what I love about the hobby. There's always something you can learn from somebody. I always listen to my elders, the people that came before me. That's what I loved. I loved just being a sponge and soaking up whatever knowledge I could get from people that came before me. You know what I mean? Like,
Bob Overstreet just turned 85.
Wow.
Think of that.
Wow.
That man.
It's so amazing that he's still around with us.
Well, I think comics keep us young.
Keep you young, exactly.
When I met Bob, I was in fanboy heaven. I couldn't believe it. He treated me really well, taught me about stuff. And, I followed that advice. But I've asked him, certain things. And if he didn't know, he would say, well, just ask John Snyder, right? Once again, the smartest people know what they don't know.
Yes. Very well put. Very well put. Very well put. Okay. So this time for sure, let's get to the show a little bit of art, and I just quickly say, Karen keeps pushing me. So earlier Karen said, she said you should get back into collecting comics, Ruben. Now she's saying you can always crack them out of the case if you don't like graded comics, Ruben. Karen, I think you just want to sucker me in so you can sell me the comics you don't want anymore in your collection.
She's right. The holder in 1999, the idea was, by the Certified Collectibles Group, was to have it hermetically sealed like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark and I were like, no, this is a buying and selling tool for eBay. People love their comics.
Right.
So we made it tamper evident, but openable. I mean, here, I just bought this and cracked it out.
Sure. But Steve,
I just got the first ruler, man. It is so cool.
Ruler.
I wanted to look in it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Maybe I lost money by cracking it out, but that's not what the hobby's about.
Yeah.
Listen,
let's be honest though. You gotta be careful anyways, because look, the reality still is the hobby is not cheap. It can be if there's cheap stuff out there, right? But for most people, what we want is usually more expensive than we wished it was. Let's be honest, right?
Well, look, we all wish we had millions, but the reality of our surroundings, to quote Fishbone, is that every market report I write is buy what you love and what you can afford and what you can hold. If we ever have a real heavy recession or a real depression in this country, we can't house our family. We can't feed our family. We better enjoy what we have.
Exactly.
So I don't like buying on spec. And don't get it wrong. If I'm on a convention floor and I see $1,000 piece, it's $3,000, or I think it's probably $10,000 later, and I like it. Well, I'll do it so I can fund my hobby. But I'm not a flipper. You know what I mean? I flipped some art early on, and it wasn't fun. I made money, but I don't need to do that. I went to a convention. I took my grandkids their first comic convention yesterday. I drove 2.5 hours to a little convention, put them up my friend Tom Ropp used to own, who's a wonderful man. People don't know him unless you're on the convention floor. He has more knowledge than I do about the weird stuff, right?
Yeah, the esoteric shit, right?
Well, no, not esoteric.
Not esoteric?
I'm talking about like a book published about comics in 1968.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. And he's like, oh, yeah, that was by so-and-so. And it's actually worth $525. And I would have like passed on it at 25. Right.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I would have bought the book. Right. I have stuff that will never be sold. I have the first Sotheby's catalog. There was only 100 made in hardcover with the box. But it says to my brother in arms, Jerry Wiest.
Oh, that's cool.
Jerry's no longer with us. Oh man, I just got chills. I miss Jerry a lot.
I mean, talk about another really important figure in the
my Lord, talking about learning from him. And the nicest thing is we had the same taste in music, especially Elvis Costello, who I think is the second best lyricist since Dylan. And I got to see him in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I've seen like 50 Costello concerts. He's brilliant. And he does some Grateful Dead once in a while, which is really weird. Yeah, I mean, a new wave punkish guy, But a few months before he died, he sent me a box, and I was helping him with his estate through Heritage. And I called him. I said, hey, man, I got a box here. I think you sent it to me by mistake, not Heritage. And he said, no. He said, that's for you. And I opened it up, and it was all these 45 records with the original sleeves from Stiff Records, which they made 500 copies of Allison. Right. I mean, Washington Detectives. It had to be $10,000 worth of stuff. He just gave it to me. We treat each other. Every day I write the book. Yeah, Carl.
I love that song. I love that song, and I want to say thank you, Carl.
I saw that before. With the TKO horns. It was great. At the pier in New York, he did shipbuilding right next to the Intrepid. It was
really? Oh, my God.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying?
I just wanted to say real quick to Carl that I really appreciate. So we always make, I whenever I can when on the show, I make musical references as I'm talking to these people. And I just love music, right? Yeah. And there's quite a few people in here who also are music lovers.
Well, I can tell.
And so I love it.
I mean, Rick just said Elvis Costello did a track on Buddy Guy's new album. That's awesome. That's
very, very cool. Yeah. I just want to say, Carl, thank you, because it has been, I can't even remember the last time I heard Every Day I Write the Book. So after the show, I'm going to go on YouTube and find it and listen to it and watch the video, man, because, oh, God, it's so...
Then check out Shipbuilding off the same album. It is a masterpiece.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate that. That's so awesome. Okay, this time for sure. Let's check out some pieces because Steve does have to leave soon. And this is the way. So I think this is the way we'll finish it, everyone. We'll show I think it's 4 pieces. Steve can tell us a little bit about every piece. And if you have anything to ask Steve, anything you wanted to ever know from Steve about anything, related to his collecting or his career.
Or how my hair is receding since I was young.
Exactly. Spit it out. This is your chance, because the show will end pretty soon, early tonight, okay? Because then I got to spend a couple hours rewatching it so I can break it up into chapters to make it easier to watch for the rewind viewers. So, So think up of any questions. If you have them, now's the time to think them up, okay? While we're showing the art. And sorry, really quick, Miss Vivian also loves when Ruben does the show. It gives her 2 hours of peace that she doesn't have to listen to Ruben talk to her. Nice, thank you. I see, Steve, that's what I love about this. I see you have friends who can bust your balls.
Oh, I'm having a blast. Don't get it wrong. This is wonderful.
It's so much fun. So, I appreciate it, Brian. Thank you so much. But okay, let us take a look at the first piece of art. Oh, God, and I got sidetracked. So, yes. I'm to lead into the piece of art. So Steve used to own this. He doesn't own this any longer, but I wanted to just bridge the gap of meeting Steve for the first time in the summer of '99 at that dinner. Didn't speak or hear from him again until he found my website. I want to say late 2003, maybe early 2004. And he bought a piece of art off my website. And this is the one. I figured, what the hell? I still had the original scan from way back when. And so I turned it into a slide.
Oh, that's right. I love that cover. I mean, I got offered way too much money. And now I'm so bummed it's gone. First of all, I love Wonder Woman. My daughter loves Wonder Woman. And I thought Michael Nasser was underrated. People were saying, you know, he was a Neal
Adams clone. Yeah.
He wasn't. He learned from Neal. I mean, Neal is a dear friend. I miss him so much. But this is not Neal.
No.
It was brilliant. And when you had it, I was like, I have to have it.
Yeah. I mean, you seem, I remember you seeming pretty happy to find it. And it was a pleasure to do the transaction with you. And, you know, at the time, because I'm not that type of guy, I didn't take the time to say, hey, you know, a few years ago, I was at a dinner 6 months before you guys did CGC, and I was fuming because I hated the idea. You know, I didn't say any of that. I was just, you know, professional, whatever. Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll let you know when I ship the art, whatever. And then you told me it was easy.
Transaction. It was pleasant. You know, I mean, and that's what makes our hobby great is when people say, okay, cool. I mean, I've offered a guy what he's asked for, or a girl what they've asked for. And then they go, oh, Steve Borock's buying it. Well, you know, I mispriced it. It's another $1,000. Makes me nuts. You know, it's when I started buying comic books again after CGC, I couldn't get a discount because people were like, oh, Borock knows something I don't know. Why is he buying this book? I was like, well, I wanted a Marvel 2-in-1 Annual 2 and a Avengers Annual 7 because it's some of my favorite reads ever. You know, but then they wouldn't give me a discount.
That's how it goes, Steve. You know.
I screwed myself.
By the way, man, I don't remember if you would remember because you also haven't owned it for several years. Okay, let me just quickly pop it back up. Okay, so everybody, check this out. Do you notice how the Egyptian queen on the original, right? Mike Nasser used the side of his pencil to do this beautiful pencil shaping,
I mean,
right?
DC wouldn't allow in '77 a newer type of person to expand it. I mean, the reason I bought the piece is it was brilliant. You know, it was better than the cover, the published cover. There was so much more detail going on, you know.
But you know, here's the thing. What I wanted to bring up is I've seen. Actually, yesterday I was doing some searching, so I wanted to see if I could get a because that's a black and white scan because it's from before I had a good scanner back in 2003. And I wanted to see, hey, maybe if the collector who owns it now he's got it online, I can get a color scan of it and show that instead, you know. But I didn't see it. I couldn't find it. But I did find another black and white scan. And on that black and white scan, not only did somebody, and this is common, of course, not only did somebody at some point along the way add a remade title stat at the top for it, okay, which is fine. Like, no problem with that. But the scan does not show any of that pencil shading. And I'm like, how do you not show the pencil? Why is there no pencil shading? And then I read, but here's the thing. I read the description and the guy saying it was Joel Thingval, who used to be a huge Wonder Woman collector.
Oh, sure.
You remember, right? Right. And he said, oh, I bought this from Nasser. He was the first owner. And I bought this from Nasser and then flipped it immediately ages ago. And I think he made a little notice saying that I think this is owned right now by the Donnelly brothers or whatever. And I was like, oh, but I'm like, wait, so does that mean that they would have not liked the pencil shading and decided, oh, I'm going to erase the pencil shading from the original? Like, I can't imagine they'd do that.
Some sellers, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, Steve and Rich love this hobby, but some sellers will change it to make it look like the original, so it will sell for more.
I know that.
Which is,
we all know that.
I think it's wrong, but I think the artist is the artist, right? Yeah. And just because DC made a bad decision doesn't mean we should.
Oh, check this out. See, this is another thing why I love my friends here, because there so many of them are so knowledgeable. Of course, I should have thought of this. I usually do. I'm pretty good, but sometimes I'm not thinking. So Rick, exactly. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe his scan is of the production piece. So it's a black and white scan. But see, the reason the original, when I sold it to you, the original never had the title stat.
I think I put that on.
Oh, okay. Okay, but what that means though is that for it to get published somewhere along the way in the 1977, they would have taken it, photocopied it, and added the title stat to the photocopy, and that would probably explain they probably erased on that stat. They got rid of the shading because they probably figured it's not.
It could be a stat, but it also, I mean, I've watched people lighten stuff.
Oh, no, that's true. Yeah.
I'm saying that there's people in this country who will look at that piece and say, I don't want it because it doesn't look like the cover.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. Stanley, no, we're not going to set a record showtime. We're finishing in the next 10, 15 minutes, tops. All right. Okay. So anyways, thank you, everybody, for allowing me to show a piece that neither Steve or I even own anymore and haven't for years.
But we both love.
It was a fun little sort of, again, connection between you and me. So I thought it would be fun to show. And Carl appreciates it. Damn, this neat history. Love it. There you go. And Rich says, there was a lengthy discussion on Facebook this week about a buyer altering an original to make it look like the publisher. Well, yeah, it happens all the time. Like
That's
Steve
what I'm saying. Yeah, and Rich knows probably more about original art than most people. He's a real fan, but he actually studies the market.
I've had Rich. He was a great guy. Rich Cirillo, I mean. Rich Cirillo, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's a bad joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, I see. That's why. Oh, Rich, look at that. You see? That's what Steve does to you. I didn't touch that one. But all right, guys. Let's move on to the first piece that Steve actually owns. And you guys have seen it kind of on the thumbnail that I used. I thought this was so beautiful. I wanted to use it for the thumbnail for tonight's episode. Tell us a little bit about this one, Steve, will you?
Oh, this is Fire on the Mountain by Tim Truman. He did it for the Grateful Dead Almanac. And he says, for Steve at the bottom. But what's cool is he knew it as a comic fan. And is that Fin Fang Foom twice in the back?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I wanted to ask. If you had asked him to do that, or was that coincidence, or what's the deal with that?
No, I think he thought about what I would like. He's a comic fan, and or he thought about just comics, I mean, this is so beautiful because it says in the lyric, there's a dragon with matches that's loose on the town, took a whole pail of water just to cool him down. I love that piece. I mean,
poetic lyricism. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Hunter was, like I said, with him, Costello, and Dylan, it doesn't get better.
Wow. That's your triptych, is it?
Probably. I'm going to say for the early days. I mean, there's people now. Jason Isbell is a good lyricist. He's not the best, but he's fantastic. And Joe Jackson was up there. He just wasn't as Dylanish as Costello. Costello and Joe Jackson could write a scathing song like Dylan's Idiot Wind, but they also wrote beautiful songs. So Joe Jackson would be up there, but I think I have to put him 4.
Okay. I was just listening to Steppin' Out the other day because that's
where, like I said, the beautiful stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, Real Men and Slow Song, unbelievable. I mean, lyrics, music, vocals, it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And that was what, 82?
80, 82, 83 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was in New York during 77. So
Okay.
I got really lucky when rock and roll just got revived. I wasn't in Seattle when it got revived again, but I still love Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, right? But rock and roll's dead. It's over, man. There's no money.
It's been a long time. Let's just say that since it's kind
I'm
of
60. It's cool. My mom was listening to music I couldn't stand, except for Miles Davis. My parents listened to Miles Davis. And
really.
Yeah, I got to see him a lot. He used to play with B.B. King. So one night he opened, the next night B.B. King opened. And so it was phenomenal.
Was this back in the New York days?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Sure.
It would be.
Sure. Yeah. And I've seen so many people. I mean, Richard Thompson is actually, he might be my fourth. Nobody knows who he is. He can play rhythm, lead, and bass on a guitar while singing with his eyes closed. And he writes the best lyrics. He has the best put down songs, just like Costello and like Dylan. When I go to see him, David Byrne from the Talking Heads was in the audience, who I love. Steve Forbett, the Indigo Girls. I mean, everybody goes see Richard Thompson, and nobody knows who he is. Yeah. So all of you, check him out. Anyway, sorry.
No, don't ever apologize, man. Like everybody here knows we have often gone on tangents where it's no longer, a comic art. It's suddenly we're talking about music for 40 minutes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm gonna start coming on and the chat more often. And even if I don't mention more than I should on the chat, I'll be watching.
Anytime you're always welcome, Steve. Like, I know you're a busy guy. Believe me, I won't expect you, but believe me, you're always welcome. I would love to see you anytime, even for a few minutes, whatever,
It's the best.
So, thank you, man. Remember seeing a guy wearing a shirt that said, "I may be old, but I got to see all the cool bands." Yeah, I remember that. I've seen that too.
Sure. I've seen that, but that's why I got the shirt that says it's weird being the same age as old people. I thought that was even more fun.
yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And Karen, thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. You're a doll, Karen. Thank you. You should have seen the tangent I went off on. Well, no, it wasn't a tangent. Like sometimes we do tangents, and every now and then somebody says something in the chat, and then it sparks a memory, and I got to give an anecdote. You should have seen the anecdote last week. I mean, I thought it was, not that bad, but it's about taking dumps, whatever. Anyways, it's just a whole other. It was quite interesting.
Wow, you guys talked about Barry Manilow.
We did.
I had his 45 when he came out. I sing the songs, right?
Yeah,
I was 12.
We went on that. We talked about that because Carl
wrote the Pepsi song and stuff. Right?
Yeah. That's
an unbelievable accomplishment. He made his whole fortune off those two songs.
You see, this is what these guys do too. They like to make jokes. So Marcus is saying, got any favorite movies?
Big Lebowski, Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Come on. I mean, there's many, but I'm not going to pick any superhero movies.
No.
I think Iron Man 1 created the Marvel Universe.
Steve, he's saying that it's a reference to a show we did a couple of weeks ago that lasted a record-breaking, on my show, record-breaking 5 hours and 3 minutes.
No way.
Yes, because it would have been long anyways, but the last hour and 10 minutes was a complete tangent, only movies, all movie talk, nothing about movies. And it was so much fun that even though we had gone late into the night, it was so much fun. 2 more weeks from tonight, I decided, let's just give it a shot. We're going to do a dedicated episode where it's the only thing that related to comic art is going to be that it's the comic art people that are always here talking about movies. So we'll see how it goes.
This is cool. I want to watch the next one, man. This is awesome.
So thank you, everybody. Let's get to those pieces of art now, because Steve has to leave. So, next piece.
Well, I got a little bit of time. That's fine.
Okay,
I was just
okay.
saying 10 should be, you know.
I know. But I want to do it if I can, because last week Karen needed to leave at 10 or 10 Eastern, and I kind of screwed that up. So
I'll tell you. Look, I'm on.
Yeah. I do.
Like, look, dude, it's time for me to go.
No. I get it. And I appreciate that.
I have to work tomorrow because the 4th I'm off.
Yeah, right.
I had the kids all weekend, and I didn't do a lot of work. I mean, look, I brought in $100,000 this weekend worth of material.
Yeah. But I know you want to play catch up.
It was like it was with friends. It wasn't, me, connecting with new collectors and stuff. I like Nick's thing. Hey, Nikki, am I going to see you in San Diego?
That's so funny. Yeah, let him know if you're going to San Diego, Nick. Pop it in the chat. I know you've already popped it.
Or just call me, Nick. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
There you go. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, no, Steve. All I was saying is that because, again, you are only the third after 54 weeks of doing this. You're only the third person who has given me a hard stop. Where I haven't had to worry about time length or whatever, and I'm not used to it, right? And because the framework of my whole channel is just let's shoot the shit and have a good time, and we don't have to worry about time limits. Suddenly, when I was given time limits, I was like, oh man, this is not going well. I'm not handling the transitions back and forth between talking, the chat, the guest, artwork, and I kind of I bungled it. So I have to get better, and I want to get better at this stuff, and that's it. So I want to try to keep to what you told me, and that's why I'm trying to.
Oh no, it's cool, man. But like I said to you, I would let you know right away.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I wouldn't be offended, by the way, if you said, "All right, man, I gotta go. I'm out of here." So. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Stanley, I do not feel competitive with Heritage. Jim Halperin and I are best friends, and his son Mikey, Pam and I used to go to dinner with him. We'd hang out. He just passed. We lost one of our own.
So sorry, who was it that just passed?
Mikey Halperin.
Was that the person you mentioned?
Mikey's on Instagram. I think I told you that one of my
that's what I'm saying. That's the guy who you said you had a friend who recently passed from cancer?
Not cancer. No, I have a friend who just called me who came up together who has pancreatic cancer. I have to fly.
Oh, gosh.
And look, I'm getting to that age where stuff is happening, but Mikey was so young. And I called somebody a force of nature earlier. Mikey was a force of nature. I am not competitive with Heritage. If somebody would rather go with them, I tell them why they should go with me. And if they rather go with Heritage, God bless them. I take care of my people. I don't just get a deal in and pass it on to others, right? I like all about people, right? Where Heritage is bigger, and it's one of the reasons I didn't go back. I didn't want to negotiate from 40% down to 15. We charge a straight 10%. To give you an idea, somebody bought a Superman 1 from us for $155,000 a year ago, 7 months ago. I guess he needed money. I don't know. Didn't ask, didn't care, right? It just ended on Heritage at 105, and I guarantee you he paid a higher fee.
Wow.
I didn't want to go back to negotiating. I'd rather just say, like, look, it's 10%.
This is what it is.
Work. Here's the spread of what I think it's going to be. If you don't want to go with me, that's cool too.
Yeah.
I'm too old and been around too long to worry about a nickel.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to help people, and if they don't want my help, they know better than me.
Yeah.
God bless them. And look, I'm not right 100% of the time. Nobody is. The only place you're 100% right is in Fantasyland, and we don't live there, right? But if I'm showing that I'm doing like 80 to 85% right, I'm happy, and my clients are happy, and my friends are happy. I was just at a great friend's house who doesn't give anything to anybody, and he was like, take these 8 boxes, and I was like, what do you want from them? He's like, whatever you think they're worth. And I was like, okay, I'll put them in the right auction. That's all. You know, like I said, it goes back to just treating each other right, so the hobby lasts, because the hobby's going to last longer than I am.
Oh, it's going to outlast all of us, right? So,
and I want my grandkids to walk on the convention floor and hear, "Hey, your dad wasn't a bad guy."
Yeah,
you know, that's all. We can't. I mean, people are going to walk on. If Greg White has children or grandkids, they're going to walk on the convention floor and they're going to go, "Your dad was a scumbag. He was a thief." I've never want that, and the guy could sue me if he wants.
Yeah. Whatever. My channel. The good thing is the good thing about being a small, tiny channel is it doesn't reach enough people for him to hear about this. So it's okay. You're good. You'll be safe. You'll be safe.
No. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'll go to court and say, he ripped everybody off. Yeah. He doesn't believe in certification. Yeah. When a book comes back restored and they bring it back to him, and they want a refund, they're not asking for anything but a refund, right? He says, sue me.
No, that's his answer to it, right?
Yeah, because are you going to spend, $20,000 on lawyers to get back $10,000?
Yeah. Well, that's why he's a jerk off. I mean, that's.
Oh, he's a bad guy.
Yeah. So there you go.
He's been a bad guy for many years, but we don't chase them out of the hobby. We just let it flow. But I don't want to be the police of the hobby either. If somebody talks to me, I will tell them the truth. I might candy coat it a little bit because I don't want to seem like a total whatever. But
we understand, man. We understand. So, all right. So let's take a look at your next piece of art. All right. A beautiful Zatanna by Stéphane.
I just got this recently too. It was so big, I didn't know.
Yeah,
it's like 2.5 times the size of regular artwork.
Wow.
Pam loved it. I think she's probably, once I frame it, she's probably going to snag it for her room. But the first year, I'm going to keep it for mine.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely, man.
Yeah.
And did you? Oh, okay. So it was already, you picked it up like this. I assume it was done as a commission for some other collector, and then you bought it from them, probably?
No, this is the cover for Zatanna too.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me come back to you for a second. Okay. Damn it. See, I'm so pissed at myself now. Okay. Because before we went live, and you quickly.
I sent you.
Yeah, don't even say it. I know. So you just said Zatanna 2. And I'm like, oh, there's 4 pieces. Oh, right. Because the Zatanna is the second piece of his I'm putting to show everybody. So I thought you meant
that too. Sure.
I thought you meant that. And I'm like, you didn't say the word cover. So that's why I just put Zatanna. I didn't realize you meant it was the cover. I thought you meant, it's the second one because I had it in second in line to show everyone. Whatever. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, everybody. It is the cover to Zatanna number 2 from 2010. Let's look at it again. Okay. I'm very, very pissed off. From 2010, yes. And Stéphane Roux, for those of you who want to pronounce it in French as I do. No. No. It's fantastic. But here's the thing. I'm curious about it. Because you can tell by the orientation of it. Obviously, the original is on the left and the close-up's on the right. But when you look at the orientation, you can tell that it's a lot longer, taller than an 11 by 17. So how did they figure this out? Did they just shrink it so it looks like she's smaller on the cover so that it all fits in?
And they also put like some surrounding images and stuff. They didn't trust it. It should have been its own cover without all the work. But you know what? I'm not a businessman in comic publishing. So who am I to second guess?
No, absolutely. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, that's funny. I like that comment. That's great.
But
no, I was talking. I wasn't talking about riches. Oh my God.
No. You're looking ahead. I'm just going to quickly. I'm behind a bit, and that's why I'm going.
I'm very sorry. It's
Yes.
You know, my mom, I'm bringing down to the Sarasota area next month.
For the assisted living.
For assisted living and memory care. It's a tough thing. So Rich, I didn't mean anything. You know that, brother. But I was reading, you could see the birds flying around Ruben's head sometimes.
Thank you. Oh, shit. But everybody loves this one for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. So,
yeah, I had to have it.
Yeah. Rick says it would be even more impressive with a guitar overlay.
I don't know. I like, you know, it's simple like it is, but, you know, everybody has our own taste. It's why we all gravitate towards different pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, even West says it was a sweet piece, and he's got pieces that blow everybody's mind.
Oh, yes. I always don't fail. I've never failed to mention, it must be at least a handful of times, if not more, that what I love about West and his collecting as a collector of art, original artwork, is that the guy, like you said, right? He has the most mind-blowing stuff that, you know, the masses get blown away by, you know, your Ditko Spideys, blah, 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 all that stuff. Yeah. But he also loves to get like these $150 pages here and there. He loves it.
He's collecting. It's by what you love and what you can afford, right? Yeah, so I've seen people show me collections that, you know, maybe the biggest piece was $400. I had more fun spending 2 hours looking at all these pieces than I did looking at, let's say, the Black Cat 50 cover.
Right.
Where I was like, oh, that's really cool. I could never afford it, right? But it was, you know, 30 seconds, right? Yeah. Where this gentleman and I spent, you know, 2 hours looking through $30 pieces, $400 pieces, and they were all brilliant. He collected what he loved and what he could afford.
Absolutely.
It's my mantra. I know I've said it like 3 times, but
yeah, no, for sure. But it's you're saying all the right things. So props to you, West. Props to you, Steve, for sure, man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, let's take a look at the next piece. And I love this one. We were talking about it privately before. I love Jae Lee. And boy, yeah, talk to us about this one a little bit.
Oh, man. When I saw this on CAF, the guy had just put it up, and I wrote to him, and I was like, what can we do? And I didn't know it was published at the time. Yeah. And then I found out it was a poster that they made. And then you told me you found the cover. And I read this. I've seen so many comic books that in 2018, even though I loved it, I didn't remember the cover. I was so into, you know, the book itself. But I mean, he's holding Sandman's, you know, helmet. Lucian's totally flipping out. Mervyn Pumpkinhead is one of the coolest characters, you know. Yeah. I think he was underused in the TV show, but I'm sure they'll bring him, you know, more into it. They packed so much into the TV show. They had to lose pieces. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, or characters or whatever. You know, and But I mean, it was brilliant.
And by the way, Steve, it just kind of dawned on me right now. Since you didn't remember it as a cover, is it? I think it's possible that it could. You know, this is a pretty modern piece from just a few years ago. It's possible that this is a variant cover, and therefore you only maybe saw another one of the covers, and not, you know. Well, right?
Maybe, but I've been grading comic books for so long.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You know, I'm sure I've saw it, but it's tough. I mean,
you see so much, right? It all gets blurred, right?
Yep. Oh, by the way, yes, Anna Love has a lot of those Black Cat 50s. I love Anna and Tyler. They are some of my dearest friends. I've known Tyler for so long, but she doesn't have this grade, I'll tell you that. So hopefully she'll be bidding on ComicLink like she always does. But anyway.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. Yeah, I've actually loved Jae Lee since he first, started off on Namor back in 1990 or whatever it was.
Well, I wasn't as much of a fan then.
Well,
When he started doing Dark Tower, all that stuff for
Oh
Steve
no. Okay, yeah. So let me just make it clear. So I was a fan because it was very almost experimental Sienkiewicz-ish school of Sienkiewicz, right? And I was a huge Sienkiewicz fan. That's how we
got the gig, is giving it that Marvel look with a little bit of his style. But
yes.
But Inhumans is what made him.
No, absolutely. This is what I just want to say is to make it clear. Looking back on it now, he progressed like any other artist, right? He's progressed so much from the time he first broke in until, where he's at today. So when I look back at that Namor stuff now, it's hard for me to look at it. And I don't want to say that in a disparaging way, but it's just not. Yeah, he's just so much better now,
Like so we all learn and grow.
Of course,
if we
grow,
love medium, right?
You got to grow as an artist.
Look at Perez's first art; it was great. But man, when he hit his stride, George was such a good guy. He loved the medium. And when he hit his stride, there was nothing better.
Karen, I don't know. Can you let us know what you're specifically referring to?
Rich, that's funny.
I'll get to it in a second, Steve. No worries. Give me a second.
No, they digitally added to the color.
Because the color is all digitally added. And it's not ink, just so you know. The black line art on the published cover, it's just they digitally darken it. So nobody ends up inking this stuff. And everything else that you don't see on the original is all digitally added. So unless I'm missing a specific detail, I know.
Well, no, we're talking about the pebbles and stuff, right? They thought
the little details in the yes, the pebbles, exactly. Thanks, Karen. Yes. Yeah, interesting. I don't know, but sometimes it's just a quick editorial decision, and they're just like, it'll look better without it.
The editor doesn't always know better than the artist, but sometimes the editor does.
Yeah.
So who, would it have sold better with the pebbles? We don't know, right?
Yes.
It sold because it was the dreaming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, either way, it's beautiful, but
absolutely. I'm so happy to own it.
Congrats on getting that piece.
I don't have a lot of art. I only buy what I will frame. I don't want to put stuff away. Yeah, I want to be able to enjoy every minute of everything. Absolutely. We could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I want to smile every day. Yeah,
for sure.
So important.
That's why you're so awesome. I'm
not awesome.
I mean it. Like in you're the character who you are within. That's the kind of people.
Right. Like Robert Hunter said, let your life proceed by its own design. Right. It's so important.
Yeah. Marcus wants you to know that he would have bought it just for the pebbles.
I don't blame him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the pebbles and charge him $50,000.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. He doesn't mind.
Yeah, that's right. By hand, of course, your own hand. With ink, permanent ink.
No, I'm sure if I'm splitting with Jay, he'll put the pebbles in.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around, and I know it hasn't been.
Let's look at the Starman piece. I really want to show that off.
Yeah, no. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that we are getting to the piece. Yeah.
I'm not rushing you. We got 10 minutes. We got whatever.
Saving the best.
2 hours.
I figured. I figured. Okay, this is the one you said. This is kind of if you had to keep one, this is the one, right? So.
Well, no, Standing on the Moon with My Daughter by Tim Truman. Yeah. That's without saying. Okay, but this is the first piece of art I ever bought.
Yes, your first piece. So that's what I'm saying. It had a lot of meaning and sentiment to you.
Right. It was 95. I was in love with the series Starman. I think it's one of the greatest things ever. If you like Golden Age and Silver Age and modern, right? Because he was so smart, Robinson, writing it. that he incorporated everything and the history. And it was a finite series, which made a lot of sense to me, right? And of course, it led to Stargirl, which, it's kind of cool. But Jack was awesome. But anyway, so I'm with Ed Jaster, who is a senior vice president of Heritage. We came up together, kind of the bad boys of the conventions, in our late 20s. We would. Anyway, I digress, and I'm going to tell tales out of school, which we won't do. But
was Ed also a Deadhead, though? I just need to know.
Oh, I took him to a Grateful Dead concert.
Did you?
Yeah, and then we spent 3 hours in a limousine heading to Atlantic City afterwards.
Nice.
We came up together.
Nice.
So I just bought some giant comic, and I was walking past Scott Edder's table, who I didn't know at the time. Very nice guy. Works more with non-mainstream art. And I was like, oh my God, that's the cover for Starman 7. And it's mixed media, and it didn't look like a comic book cover because there was no stats, no logos, nothing, right? And I just stopped. There you go, right? And I said to this guy I didn't know, Scott, how much is it? And he said, I think he said at the time, $3,500, but he would do 3. And I said, I don't know enough about original art. And Eddie actually punched me. And he said, you just spent like $25,000 on a comic book. He said, you're going to frame this and love it. He goes, just buy it. And I said, you know what? Okay. And I did. And it's been hanging in every one of my offices since that day.
Oh, really? Wow.
I love this piece. It, like, people come over, they have no clue it's a comic book cover. They think it's some kind of Art Deco mixed media thing. And I also go back to being, in 94, 95, this, young man who was reading this and couldn't get enough out of it. So I don't know. It's really an important piece to me, and it might not be important to anybody else, and I don't care.
No, listen, that's what I always preach, buy, collect what you love, because I know it's shocking to hear this to some people, but there are actually collectors out there who collect for others, meaning they buy stuff because they know, oh, if I get this piece and I post it online, people are going to pat me on the back and tell me how awesome I am for owning this piece.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I always say ego doesn't pay the rent.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't make you happy in the long run.
No, that's it. In the end, you're doing it for other people. What's the point, man?
Mark Fong just wrote, would make a great stained glass piece. Ooh, I got to look into that. He is so right.
Yeah.
even my wife would love it. She loves this piece as it is, but that would be cool. I would love to have that. I got to figure that out.
And
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate the suggestion.
Yeah, as my wife is saying, that the sentimental piece for you, I guess, this is an important one in that respect, right? I mean, your first piece as well, you love the title, Oh, yeah, I didn't buy another piece of art for years. I just bought it, like Ed said, after you punched me, to hang it up. I framed it. It's got a beautiful blue frame that matches the blue that you could see on the right and left towards the top. And it just pops. Yeah. And like I said, I love it every day. Dwayne Zapane says that he loved this. Steve has this cool Jeff Goldblum vibe about him. Oh my God. I hope my eyes aren't as bulging as his. No, Jeff Goldblum's cool, man. He was one of my favorite. Oh, wow. Marcus is funny. I only buy to make Hembeck fans jealous. Oh, Marcus is. Yeah, Marcus is always. I rely on Marcus. He's like literally been here since day one. Never missed a show, to my knowledge. That's how much I value the friends that have supported
so
me in
cool.
all this. Yeah.
Hey, look, any of y'all could reach out to me if you just want to talk at sborock@comiclink.com. I don't care if it's business or not. Let's just talk, man. You know, I don't get to go on shows like this very often, and I'm having a wonderful time.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I'm glad too, because like I said, I didn't want you to get, because you're so used to doing interviews. I thought, man, I hope no matter what I said, I hope he still gets the point that this will not be me interviewing him, about whatever business he's working on now, or, and so I'm glad you chilled and relaxed and sort of, took the spirit of what my shows are intended to be as. So,
well, that's how you told me about it, and that's why I said it would be cool to be on. I don't want to shill comics and comic art. I want to promote the hobby and talk to collectors.
Yeah,
it is so much more important, right? I mean, the friendships we make. I mean,
that's it.
I have conversations with Steve Borock, who most people don't know. He's a true collector. He's a dealer, originally from Montana, now in the Seattle area. In 2001, I'm at WonderCon, and I walk up to this table, and I'm selling CGC. Anyway, but I can't tell the players without a scorecard anymore. But anyway, I walk up to this table, and there's these three guys, and they're wearing the same shirt. It says Funny Book Club, and they didn't have any certified books because 2001. I didn't care, but my good friend Dan Kramer, heavy duty collector, was collecting flashes, and so was I. We owned the Flash 1 Mile High together. We had it wasn't a security box. It was like a walk-in place. Okay. You had to put your thumb and the whole bit. It was crazy.
Wow.
We had the Flash 1 together, and then I gave up the collecting to start CGC.
Yeah.
And he needed that Flash cover, that Flash issues, excuse me. And I walked up to them, and I was like, "Can I see the book? I have a friend who needs it." I wasn't lying, and as he started to pull it down, he wasn't a liar. He said it has some restoration. And I said, well, then never mind. I said he only collects pedigrees or high grade and unrestored. That was how he collected. God bless him. We're still best friends today, which is cool. I said, and they looked at my badge and they said, "Oh, you're with CGC." I said, "Yeah, I'm with the Evil Empire." And they were like, "Well, we don't like you." I said, "That's okay, but I see a bourbon behind there. I haven't had a drink all day." I said, "Would you mind if I had a drink and I won't talk CGC with you?" And they were like, "Sure." Well, now he's one of my dearest friends, and he submits to CGC, then he submitted to CBCS. It's as long as you're honest with people, and you treat everybody the way you want to be treated, 90% of people are going to be good. I mean, we have some bad people in this hobby because they only care about the money, but it's just like the world, right? I believe that if we got rid of like 20% of people in the world, we'd have a great world. Yeah. We wouldn't have Putin, Yeah.
Let's not even get into that.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
But I totally, I get you for sure. Like I totally get it. Oh, by the way, I wanted to point out, because Marcus pointed it out himself. This is, and he's right. So I've done a show every weekend, I think, what is it now? 55 weeks or something. So that means I've done a show Christmas Day, New Year's Day, And even, like people used to tell me when I first started, right? Oh, like next week is this convention or that convention. And I'm like I can't not do a show every time somebody says there's a convention. There's always conventions, right? But San Diego, even in San Diego, right? So my show,
I just saw that. Yeah.
Right. So my show starting at 8:00 here, 5:00 Sunday there, which is the exact time I guess San Diego's finishing, and everybody's wanting to get the hell out of there. This guy pops into the chat like he's at home, like nothing's different, and he's at San Diego and he's on his phone getting on, checking out the show.
So fantastic. You know what?
What?
I'm doing San Diego for the first time in years. I never wanted to go back, by the way, or into New York, which is my old home.
Yeah.
But they become beasts. And even though it's so great seeing my friends, they're like, we talk for 7 minutes and they're like, oh, by the way, I got to get over here before
yeah.
or I got to go see this. I got to go meet this creator or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate it.
This is why
small collections, conventions.
Steve, that's yeah. So Steve, that's why. So I've told these guys many times over this past year that, like, I used to be a regular traveler. I used to do many conventions all year, year after year after year. I just got burned out. And the thing is like, okay, I've done 2 cons in the last, I don't know, decade or something. Why? And I say, I don't even really want to travel to look for art anymore. If I go, it's to just meet up with people. But then at the same time,
good night, Karen.
Hold on. Here we go.
Sorry.
Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. Good night, Karen. Okay, there we go. Good night. Great show. Oh, thank you very much, Karen. Very cool art. I loved hearing your stories and wisdom, Steve. There you go.
I have no wisdom. I'm definitely nowhere near Socrates.
That's so funny. But yeah, no, that's that, and that's what I would say is that the problem also is like I despise the entire experience of flying. Air travel, I hate it all. I don't want to get into it, but I hate it.
I can deal with that. San Diego is no longer fandom.
No, that's true.
There's no longer fandom. It is a zoo. Everything costs too much. So think about a seller, right? A dealer. Okay, if they're going to pay $10,000 to be there, let's say, right? Booth, hotel, food, flight, everything. They can't discount to the true fans. I'll be there, Nick. Anyway, but I love Albert. But anyway, they cannot discount the collectors because they need to make $20,000 to pay off the 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I go to Brett Carreras' Virginia show, or I go to Shelton Drums in Charlotte, which I love. Mm-hmm. And I love Brett's show too. But Mark Nathan, and I really believe that Mark Nathan in Baltimore and Shelton in Charlotte have the 2 most fan-friendly, art-friendly, artist-friendly shows. And Mark actually admits that he based his on Shelton's, which is fantastic. But all these little shows are popping up. Like I said, I took my grandkids to their first show yesterday. We drove 2.5 hours to a little show in Ocala. Nobody had art. Okay. Yeah. But everybody was they would give my grandkids stickers and lollipops. And I bought a Spider-Man toy for my grandson who's 5 for $10. And I spent $15 on Ava's 7-year-old granddaughter for some doll she loved. And they were like, this is cool. I was like, do you want to go to more? They're like, yeah. I said, cool. As you get older, we'll go to bigger ones. It's all about the community and the love. Mm-hmm.
And this is why I find it so difficult. It pains me. It truly pains me because I despise air travel, the entire experience of it. Remember, though, keep in mind that I also have to add in I gotta go through the border. I've got customs clearance and all this extra bullshit to deal. Anyways, I despise it. So what it pains me is because I don't go to the cons, but I know so many people in the hobby, and I haven't seen them in so many years.
That's the thing. I will travel to the show to see somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited to see my friends from England at New York, even though I do not want to go.
Yeah.
Right? It's been too long. I mean, my turn to say goodnight. Well, good night.
To which one? That was my wife saying good night earlier. Happy for July 4th to everybody.
Happy 4th.
Yeah, good night to you. Well, it's one day late. Happy Canada Day for her, but but yes, happy 4th to the rest of you who are American. Let's just specify it, you know. Yes, good night. Happy Canada Day.
Expo will be a great show. Is that the one Bill Cox is putting on? Is that the name of it? He's just a wonderful person. We're good friends. We don't get to spend enough time together, even though we're only like 3.5 hours away. But that OA Expo, I will be there. First of all, I support all my friends if I can. But he's worth it. He has done so much for the art hobby that he doesn't get the accolades he deserves from certain people. He does it out of love. Comic Art Boston, good night.
Actually, no, he's just saying good night to my wife, though. It's hard to keep track. You see, that's why everybody's so friendly. So it's just like it's hard to keep track. So
yeah, I'm trying to watch the chat at the same time, and it's really tough for me. I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack. I'd rather just talk comics.
But it's all good. It's all good. But anyways, look. Yeah, man. Look, this it's almost 2.5 hours. I guess this is as good as time as any to say that, yes, I will hopefully make an appearance at a con at some point in time. I really do want to see a bunch of friends. It'd be nice. So I'll have to tough it out at some point. Just don't know what show it'll be, but I will eventually do that. It would be so lovely to see everybody, whoever's there. So, but yeah, thanks,
I want to show off one piece for anybody who's into the Grateful Dead.
I forgot you still had show all of them if you want. That's cool.
No. I was lucky enough because when I was at CBCS, I wouldn't buy comics as a conflict of interest. And a friend of mine bought some of the Jerry Garcia collection when Bonhams got it. I don't know why they went through Bonhams.
Yeah.
A lot more. I mean, they screwed up, by the way. There was it the Crypt Terror 22 or something? Tales from the Crypt 22, right? The classic cover. There's two in one lot. They didn't even say it.
Oh,
and wow. It was all wrong. They didn't come to a grading company.
Yeah. So that's typical.
This, and if you can read it, oh my God, I don't know. It says from the personal collection of Jerry Garcia.
Oh, wow.
He collected PCs, and they were all low grade because he read them to death. But mostly he collected undergrounds because, he's eating a lot of acid and stuff at the time. I get it. For sure. But the night is still young. Let's go to the local pub.
Yeah,
well, if you're in my area, I'll go for a drink. Rich asked if I was going to TerrifiCon.
Yes. Actually, 2 people asked about that. I wanted to get to that. And
I want to go badly. I hear it's fantastic. And my aunt was my mother's sister was the lieutenant governor of Connecticut until a few years ago, and she likes going to Foxwood because nobody recognizes her. They're so focused on the gambling. She goes there and she spends $100 or whatever, and she has a nice meal, but nobody knows who she is. And I miss them so much. My family in Connecticut, I can imagine my cousins and their kids. So I am going to try to get to TerrifiCon if life does not get in the way. But I'm bringing my mom here, who's 84, and I have to move her into assisted living. So life is, life gets in the way, man. Yeah, that's what happens. But our friends and family are what count most, and we take care of them. But absolutely. I want to go to TerrifiCon.
Hey, Steve, before we close it out, can you actually, I wanted to get to one question, and especially because it came from Marcus, he deserves to get an answer.
Absolutely.
Do you know whatever happened to all that art that what's his face there is screwing over Stan was buying?
No clue. But I don't.
Nope,
I don't
nobody
know.
knows.
Well, it was a court thing, right?
Right.
And so I gave deposition against a certain major company in New York, and the way my ex-partner dealt with it was that the records would be sealed because my words were so damning.
Right.
And I think maybe he settled and said, keep it sealed. I hated keeping this sealed. I love talking about everything. But these guys are bad guys, man.
Yeah.
They knew what to do. I was just some idiot at court trying to defend myself.
Yeah.
That's like I said, there's 20% or 10% in our hobby that just stink. And Max, and he can sue me for all I care. I mean, I'm in public. He's a bad guy and treated one of the most integral, respected, loving people in our hobby like crap. No, it's wrong.
I'm good. I'm 1,000,000,000% good that you mentioned this, Steve. Like talk out loud as much as you want about it. That's fine.
I'm too old. Let him come sue me. I'll keep him in court till I'm dead. I don't care.
Yeah. Bad people deserve to get called out. That's just the bottom line, right? So
absolutely, every day.
For sure.
Do comics have a smell? Yes, the Mile Highs smell like cedar.
I think they were asking I think they were asking about the ones that came from the Jerry Garcia collection.
Oh, you know what? They probably smell like pot, but I didn't check it out.
Yeah. You must be sniffing that comic. Like comic guys love to sniff their comics anyways, right?
Oh yeah. The first time my wife saw me sniff the comic, she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, well, I think it's the Mile High, Yeah, it is,
So glad I never got involved in crap like this. Like what, Murdoch?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm not understanding. I mean, maybe he's so glad he's never a thief. God bless him,
Yeah, for sure. Steve, can you maybe just hold on for a minute? Give me a minute until we go off the call. We'll stop broadcasting, and I just want to talk to you for a couple of minutes. Would you be cool with that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
yes, of course.
All right, get the hell out of here now. Okay, well, in that case, everybody, please just want to remind you, check out Nikki B's show this Friday at 7 p.m. East Coast. 4 o'clock Pacific on the EXP.
There's Nikki. I love it.
And Nick, I don't know if you're there anymore, Nick, but I already did your promo earlier in the show, and I popped the link directly to your video for this Friday. So
he's a handsome devil too.
I'm like, and there's the handsome devil himself. Yeah. I always say that.
God, we used to be so young. I look older. He doesn't age as badly as I do.
Yeah, let's not talk about age, but I want to remind everybody also that next week you guys will be back here at the usual time. We'll have some fun. If you guys remember, I can't believe it's already been 6 weeks. So 6 weeks ago, we had collector Jared Simmons just hanging out and shooting the breeze about the comics, comic art, music, the whole thing. But now he is back, like I told you guys he would be, and this time he's coming back for a show and tell, so we can finally get a good look at a bunch of pieces from his collection. He's got a killer collection, so that should be a lot of fun again. So please don't forget to come back for that. Other than that, let me see. One last quick look into the chat, guys.
Then Steve's all over it. Well, I really hope that it was, a really bad comic. Youngblood 4,
Yeah. Oh my God. Uh, and
I have a really funny quick story.
okay,
So
yeah.
I was hanging out with Neal Adams in New York, and Image had this gigantic booth, right? And I mean, I'm talking about it was like 20 tables or something, and Neal had two, you know. And some young kid came up with a portfolio and said, "Can I show it to you?" And he said, "Well, I really don't look at portfolios. I'm working at the convention, but you know." The kid said, "Well, do you have any advice for me?" He goes, "Yeah, go over to that Image thing, look at it, and don't draw anything like that."
Like that. That's not sure. I haven't heard that story, but I knew you were going to say because I know Neal, right? Like, so
right.
yeah, it's so God. That's
Well,
it's exactly
another really quick story.
Yeah,
I
of
was
course.
handling Don Perlin's collection. You know, very sweet man. Did once again did some amazing stuff from the 50s on, right? And
Long chat.
yeah, he was just brilliant. And he said he moved to the bullpen because he made it, right? And he was by John Buscema. And he always Don always worked with a eraser, and Buscema never did. So one day he said to Buscema, "I notice you never erase anything." And John said, "Well, they don't pay me to erase. They pay me to draw."
Nice.
He didn't care. Where
Yeah.
Perlin cared about every little line.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Crazy.
just different mentalities and different approaches. That's all it is, right? So
Exactly. I mean, look, Nick Carty was a great friend of mine, and he lived here in Sarasota. And towards the end, he was telling me stories that some of them I can't tell. Some of them are great, though. You know. But anyway, I've kept you all too long. I have to get to work in the morning. I want to spend the 4th with my grandkids and my daughter and my wife, and I don't get a lot of time off,
right.
especially during season. You know, after the 4th, it is brutal.
Are you at least going to give me 2 minutes after we get off?
I'm going to give you the time. I have to get off the show.
Okay, exactly. All right, everybody. Thank you. Listen, Steve. Oh my God, I can't tell you how thankful I was that excited you were that you thought this would be a cool idea and that you said yes when I said come on. And
oh no, I want to thank you, man. I'm not kidding. Some of the people on here, I guess I'm meeting for the first time, and like I said, look, I mean, they can call me. I don't care. I can talk comic books all day long. Don't take up my whole day, but
yeah.
Questions. I don't care if there's anything to do with ComicLink or not. We're all hobbyists, and that's why Nikki and I are such good friends. That's why Rich and I are such good friends. And it's all about the community. It's all about the love for the hobby and the love it gives us. And let's just keep making it better. Let's stop flipping $10 comics for 30 and then they're worth $5. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Really, again, it means a lot, man. And the fact that
it means a lot. It means a lot that you had me on.
Oh, I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much again. Let me leave you guys with one final little wish, and I'm gonna mute Steve now so there's no noise. And just stick with me for a second. All right, Steve. Oh, I didn't catch that because I had already muted you. Say it again.
Oh, I said I'm here for you, brother. I told you.
All right. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Okay, everybody. Yeah. So thank you for everything. Not only today, for everything you guys do for me, and for all of my friends who come and agree to and be guests in the chat. I don't have the words. It means so much to me. Just thank you. That's all I can say over and over and over again is thank you. So let me leave all of you. Oh, and Caesar, I forgot you said that question before. What did you miss? Well, catch it on rewind, dude. I'll tell you what I missed though. I missed you. We missed you. You've been MIA for a couple of months now. And yeah, it's not the same without you. So love to see you here. Thank you so much for popping back in, dude. Good to see you again, man. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. So everybody, at least within the confines of the United States of America. Let me leave you with this, and have a very, very happy 4th of July. Please be safe for those of you, especially you, Marcus, and anybody else who's shooting off fireworks. Please, please, please be very, very careful. I don't want you to Jason Pierre-Paul yourselves. Yeah, man, just be safe, be happy, have a great, great, great Independence Day. All right, and I will check you guys all out here again, hopefully next week. Thank you so much. Peace.